welcome to Eden Fractal meeting number 25. It's been almost 6 months now that we've been meeting every week with the Eden community. Great to be here. Thanks everybody for joining and watching, and thanks everybody for joining and being here with us too. We've been hanging out for the past 25 minutes or so, talking about all sorts of interesting mystical experiences and also about agendas and different things. So we're going to start the breakout rooms in about 4 or 5 minutes, and just figured we'd start recording. So hello everybody, and yeah, feel free to share any thoughts if anything's on your mind. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great day. Pomelo started today, right? So
yeah, I think so.
Donations are open now, right?
Yeah.
I believe Marco have been out running around already, similar. So yeah, it's open all right. Some 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. And I see the Pomelo team is doing great work, both with the new collections feature, which I know Marco has been using. Patrick also has been using that. So that's cool to see. And then the Pomelo team has been putting out testimonial videos too. So I saw Lennie had a testimonial video with recaps. I also did, and they just published a video that I did this morning about Eden creators. So that's cool to see. And yeah, lots of people in this group have Pomelo pitches too. So encourage everybody to support people in the community and go Pomelo.
Sorry, thought I heard my name from Lennie and Dan. Yeah, the collections are nice. It was actually helps organize the projects you're looking into, and networking actually, helping keeping track of a lot of different things with people moving one way or another, whether it's news or yeah, it just facilitates the whole thing. I encourage you guys to use it. I'm looking at them. Helps them tweet. It's really information.
You are kind of breaking up. Not sure if it's my connection, but
Pretty sure it's mine. I need to reset. I got a bunch of things running right now.
It's not really breaking up for me. I think it's pretty consistent. But I still, I said it before, but I think when you're able to get a better microphone set up, Marco, it'll be a little bit easier to hear you.
I had to do that investment as well.
Yeah, it's very nice having a nice microphone, and it's not a huge expense for a decent one, but it makes it easier for everybody to hear and pays off very well.
Yeah, or like headphones with a microphone attached to it.
Yeah. And plus those look cool too, like you're a gamer who's ready to go.
Right. And not those Apple ones though, because if you have those Apple ones, they record the sound right here, and it makes noise if it touches your shirt or something. So you need like AirPods or something, or like a gamer headset or a microphone.
Yep. You gotta figure it out, Sebastian. You know the audio. I have a microphone here that I pull over. It's off camera, but it's right over there. So that's how I do it. And
Right.
yeah, I had it the other day where I was speaking to somebody on the phone with AirPods, and I had it in a pocket. So I know what you mean about getting audio messed up. They're like, I can't hear you.
So we got enough to start the breakout rooms, or we're still waiting?
Yep, we have enough. We'll start 2 breakout rooms, and I think we can start now. Be punctual about it, and if people join, if more people join afterwards, and we go over 6 each, then well, then we can add them. But whoever participates in consensus, whoever's here first can participate in consensus. What's up, Sebastian?
Are you putting us into breakout rooms?
Yes.
Or are we? Yes. Okay.
I
So
mean,
you did you take a Bitcoin header, or what kind of randomization was?
yeah. So right now the randomization, it's just the Zoom breakout room feature. So Zoom has a feature for whoever is the host or co-host, where you can hit the breakout rooms button, and then it says choose one breakout room or two breakout rooms. So I hit choose two to create two breakout rooms, and then there's an assign automatically button. So that is the Zoom randomization feature. There was some discussion about this in the Genesis Fractal, and Matt Langston, who's a really smart engineer, works with Apple, did some research, and he found this to be pretty random. Although, of course, if we have it on the Bitcoin block headers, that'll make it more random. So that's something that we can improve in the future.
Yeah, I don't want to be hypocritical. It's just, yeah. I wanted to know because at EOS Respect we had to create our own Zoom links. You know,
Yes.
like each group had to create its own Zoom link.
Yep. Thanks for asking.
Also, like EOS Respect has the same issue basically.
Hey, Sebastian, this is a little bit less formal. It's a little less formal.
Yep, it's less formal. Like there's less structure. We don't have the Eden election smart contracts and services working for the service, but that's something we can do in the future for sure. But anyway, we're like 3 minutes over, so I think that I'll start. Will fractal grants join this season? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Elias.
The Pomelo ones. They're not.
There's lots of community members who have Pomelo pitches that are related to Eden Fractal. For example, Tadas has the Albedo Pomelo pitch. I have the Eden Creators Pomelo pitch. Vlad has a consortium Pomelo pitch, and Marco has one for crypto briefings. Lots of related, but as of right now, there's no Pomelo pitch for Eden Fractal specifically. Felix did the last one, but Felix hasn't been joining the last few meetings, so that's an opportunity if anybody wants to help do that and help fund development with Pomelo, then that would be awesome. But currently there's not one specifically for Eden Fractal. I'm also going to create the breakout rooms now. We can discuss this after.
Yeah, I was looking for yours, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for looking, Marco. I'm in the process of getting it up there, and hopefully it'll be up there within a couple of days. I just opened the breakout rooms, and I hope everybody has a great time. I'm going to join room 1.
Yeah.
Hello.
The link to the voting area. I forgot where that was.
Hey, Tadas, everyone. What's your question, Elias?
Do you have the link to the voting area?
The voting tool? Yes, Tadas just shared it. Okay, great. Well, would anybody like to go first, sharing contributions? Also, would anybody like to help lead and moderate this room? If not, then I'd be happy to.
I'll start. Your courage to moderate. My fan is right on the microphone, so I'm going to lean in here. All right, so I had a little update to crypto briefings, which is an elaborate site. It will include, it does include Eden. I haven't really organized all that content, so I'm waiting to add that. But it is around EOS. You'll cover the history of things that exist, don't exist, like fractal and things like that. But ultimately, it's a networking, I think, for the community. I'll also take this time to say that I think my delegate 4 weeks are over, and I'm going to pass it over to Eric.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Did you hear that, Eric?
Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. I thought he. Okay. So the big thing is we've been working with Dwayne on the Center for Governance. Of course, Eden will have a room in there. So this is a place where people go for good governance, for resources, communication. We've been interviewing alien world custodians to say, what should this place look like, and hopefully put in a Pomelo grant as we figure this out. We've been getting lots of really good data in terms of figuring out what this thing might want to have as just a framework that we can bring in and bring it through consensus. So the Center for Governance gives a place for Eden Fractal to have a permanent space within the alien worlds framework, and to contribute and be able to teach what's going on here to other people, including custodians and voters. So a lot of that was education. So that's been going really well. We've also, I'm working pretty well with the Fallbrook Art Association on creating a gallery and events that are managed and by Fractal Governance. I brought in, and the part of this is it's really about building community more than about building the art association. I just use art because it goes into everything. So we're looking at going into the high school. But I talked to a cancer support place called Michelle's Place on Monday, and that looks going promising toward that they're going to join into what the Fallbrook Art Association is, and I gave them an initial talk about fractal governance. So I helped them with branding, and they're very happy with the brand that I came up with. So those are the big things. Oh, and the other thing is, I know Dan's seen my first cut of the paper. I've gone way beyond that, but I'm writing out this whole thing about governance. So this project we're doing, I think I've got over 20 pages so far. It'll probably be more like somewhere between 30 to 50 when I'm done, but it talks about this whole deal of governance and put it in. It mentions EOS, it mentions Eden Fractal, it mentions Fractally. So, you know, how do we put this together and test it? So things are moving pretty well. Again, we continue to do Metaversal Mondays live stream. So if anybody has a topic that they would like, I know there's a lot of other vehicles, feel free, you can be on it, you can invite whatever panel you have, but we've still been doing that. So with that, I will pass it to Vlad.
Thanks. I'm testing a new mic today. How is it? Is it better?
Yeah, it sounds great. You can hear your voice very full. It sounds like you're right here.
Yeah.
Send one of those to Marco.
Yeah.
So in regards to Eden Fractal, we had a call with Dan where we discussed the agenda structure post breakout rooms, and I think we got somewhere, and hopefully today we will be able to vote whether to accept it or not. Yes, then in relation to Zeus Fractal, we had well, we tried to set up a meeting. We were almost successful. And yeah, that's in regards to fractals. With CETF, it was pretty interesting. I tried out the bees. One of the tweets got swarmed, so that was pretty interesting to have like 200 likes, and the comments were also, some of them were really funny. Yeah, then we fixed a couple of front-end bugs in CETF. So not only front-end, there was also a serious back-end bug, and everything now it's running as it should. Today, most likely during the fireside chat, I will give a brief overview of the CETF. So I prepared a little overview, and yeah, that's about it for this week. Elias, would you like to go next?
Thanks, Vlad. So recently I've been working on it's also a Pomelo project, but it's the website is called Untruth.io. And it's the idea of it is to help fight disinformation. So I haven't done anything for Eden Fractally. So this is more on, it will be an EOS project. Right now it's kind of just developing the project. So it will make it easier to atomically break down so it basically will let you post a video, and I posted the Eden election videos from season election 4. And the idea is to kind of index what people are saying, who was there, and it will also let you, fight. It lets you identify a statement, and then you could comment if it's false or true. It's for general purpose, but I thought it's pretty nice for Eden to index, not really to fight. It's not no disinformation there, but it's more about to index what people said in the past, because it will also let you look it up by authors. So that's what I've been working on. Who's left? Dan, did you go already?
I have not gone. It's me and Tadas.
Okay. Dan.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Elias. And yeah, Untruth looks very interesting too. So I have lots of questions. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I just opened it up and I'll read it through it. And then either later in this meeting that'll ask you some questions or another time. But sounds like a really cool project. So thank you very much. And yeah, thank you also, Vlad and Eric and Marco for the great work too. It's great hearing your presentations. And now I'll share a little bit about what I've been doing over the past week or so to help EOS and Eden and the practical cooperation with Eden Fractal. So I published a video from last week's meeting. I've been doing this for the past 6 or 7 weeks now about making just a little cool thumbnail over here, and then making some timestamps as well so people can watch and find it easily. I shared it in a couple of channels so far, and we'll share more channels as well to help promote it. I think that these videos are a big way to promote what we're doing, and they also provide a valuable resource for us to, refer to old conversations and so forth. I've also been starting to publish presentations about my presentations or videos about my presentations. This is a 5-minute video from last week. Haven't shared this yet, but just doing it with some kind of cool thumbnails and just short videos showing what I'm doing. And I think that over time, it'd be great to do this with more people as well. We can make lots of videos every week with cool presentations. I think it's a really big value add for an Eden Fractal. This week I also hosted the Eden Town Hall. This is number 25, and I haven't shared it yet, but I'm working on it. And there's some timestamps here, and we heard from Nicola update with the bees and comments, and Pomelo and Leaf working with a game called Boomerang.Earth. So I'll be promoting, or I'll be sharing the full video soon, as well as video clips from each of these, ramping up video production. And yeah, there's timestamps there. And then I've also been working on a backlog of videos from the past 4 or 5 town halls haven't been shared yet. So I've been working on getting these all ready to share, and going to be sharing a lot of videos soon. This is all part of what I've been working on with DAMs, which is you can learn about at edencreators.com/DAMs. There's a lot here. This was something I wrote a few weeks ago for the Ideathon. There's also a video if you want to learn more about what I'm doing here, but I see Eden Fractal and Eden as playing a big role with DAMs. So all these videos like Eden Fractal and Eden Town Hall, we can make cool videos with lots of videos. I've been thinking Eden Fractal meetings, we can make up to like, a dozen or several dozen videos for each one for different purposes. I've also been working on production processes to help outline for both myself and other people to do these kinds of timestamping and editing and video production, but I'll share more about that soon. And then I suppose the main project I've been working on lately is agendas. So at edencreators.com/agendas, you can see an article that I wrote. I started writing it last month or a month or two ago, and then I made some big updates to it just last night or over the past couple of days, and I shared it just about 12 hours ago. And so basically on this site, it curates all of the proposals that people in the community had previously made, as well as curates Vlalendas and Cagendas, which I'll speak of briefly. And then there's some writing that's now moved to the bottom. So you can see there all the different table of contents, and then all the different projects or all the different agenda protocols and systems for doing agendas. I think this is really important for the community, and so I'm really excited about put a lot of work into it. Yesterday, I made separate pages for each person's proposal previously. So there's a page for Vlad's first proposal here, and there is a consortium poll and all the details, all the resources about it, basically, where Vlad spoke about this proposal, and then comments with me and Tadas and whoever else made comments about it. So these are all curated and just better organized from previous. Same thing with Tadas's proposal, where you can see Tadas share it and all the comments. Lennie made a proposal that was really inspiring and helpful. So you can see Lennie's proposal here. And then I made some proposals here and just wrote about what I've been doing with Cagendas and Vlalendas and curating all these articles and so forth. And then there's also a proposal from Jesse, which is a little bit different, but it still kind of fits. And then I made a new page at edencreators.com/Vlalendas, which is a portmanteau or a combination of Vlad, Lennie, and Cagendas or agendas. So Vlalendas is a new game. It's a Cagendas game. We talked about the Cagendas last week, a game for communities to set agendas and allocate time and choose discussion topics. So there's table of contents here where it shows how it can help and why it's called Vlalendas and the proposal summary and so forth. So there's a lot here, and I encourage people to check it out, but I'll just show a very high level overview. Here are some of the ways that Vlalendas can help, and then why it's called Vlalendas. I made all this art as well, so I've been working on this constantly. I was up until like 2 or 3 in the morning last night working on this. There's a brief summary. We can talk about this in more detail, but basically this was largely inspired by Vlad as well. So as Vlad said, we spoke about this, and I asked Vlad what he thought would be best, and then I kind of just wrote a lot of that and then added to it a little bit. But yeah, I wrote about how that ties into Cagendas and much more. I've been going over 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'll wrap it up in the next 30 seconds or so. And there's lots of kind of sub articles here too that I'll continue to write more about and clean up as we go along to provide a better overview of what we're doing with Eden and Cagendas and so forth. I also updated the Cagendas article at edencreators.com/Cagendas to reflect the new game mode of Vlalendas, which is how I'm seeing it. It's kind of a different way of playing Cagendas, kind of like how people play different versions of poker, and included the feedback from the Eden Fractal brainstorming session last week as well. And then also wrote some notes about how we can combine Cagendas with dams and also potentially ideathons too. So there's lots here. Those are all kind of drafts. And then lastly, I've been working more. Sorry, Tadas, I've been taking so long to publish this video, but I got a thumbnail and I also wrote a little description, and I'm aiming to share this as soon as possible. This is a Creator Talk episode, new podcast I'm launching with an interview with Tadas about the Eden plus Fractal process that will be coming out soon. So that's that.
Thanks, Dan. I guess it's my turn now.
Yes, thanks.
Yes, so I continue working on my Albedo project. Albedo is basically the purpose of this project is to enable totally autonomous DAOs and a kind of DAOs which would be totally autonomous but be able to interoperate with existing blockchains effectively and create relationships between DAOs like Eden Fractal and EOS blockchain, for example, where it would work for both sides in the best way possible. And yeah, so specifically this week I've been working on Solidity smart contract, which will represent Fractal blockchain client. Yeah, so these Fractal blockchains are means by which I will achieve these properties for Fractal DAOs, and I shared a post about Fractal blockchains a while ago. And the Solidity smart contract that I'm currently working on will act like a validator, which validates this Fractal blockchain, and it will be able, you will be able to publish this contract on any blockchain, and any smart contract, EVM enabled smart contract platform will be able to validate Fractal blockchain. Yes, so I don't have a lot of experience with Solidity, so it's a bit of a learning curve for me right now. But and I need to understand some low level details about how Solidity stores variables in state, so that I can make sure that it validates these fractal blockchains efficiently. I also wrote a Pomelo pitch today for Albedo for new Pomelo season. I think this new pitch is much better than the one for previous season. It's much more to the point. Yeah, and I plan to start daily updates for Albedo, like what I work on every day. I think it will help me to focus and express some of the design decisions that I make earlier, and also will make these meetings easier because I will have a list of things updated every day that I post, and for anyone which wants to follow this project more closely, it will be a useful resource as well. I posted a link to where I plan to post these updates in the near future. It's empty for now, but hopefully will get populated soon. Yeah, and that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Tadas. I'm very much looking forward to seeing these updates from Albedo. So thanks for the great work, and that'll be really cool to follow along with. And I wish you well with the Solidity contract too as well.
Thanks.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments for anybody? We can get into the consensus levels 1 through 6. But does anybody have any thoughts first?
It's a little bit, it's question to Tadas. So did you develop smart contracts on EOS before?
On EOS, yes.
Yeah.
Most of my smart contract experience is on EOS, but I decided
Okay.
to use Solidity now.
And
just
how
because
is the difference? Is it more difficult, less difficult?
well, first of all, it's a different programming language. It's not it's much easier to learn Solidity, of course, than C++. But well, a lot of things that I am used to in EOS are different in Solidity. Like it stores smart contract state differently, and yeah, it's easy to write Solidity code, but I think it's hard to write it in an optimized way and in a secure way, I think.
Very cool stuff. Maybe it would be nice to create a Telegram group as well for Albedo.
Yeah,
you don't have one, right?
I actually have it already. Not a lot of people there yet, because I didn't share it much yet, but I will post a link to it.
Nice.
And there's also a Twitter account for Albedo too, at I believe chain_Albedo or something like that.
Yes.
I've got a question for Eric, and actually all of you all probably know the answer. What's the difference between EOS Respect and the other websites? EOSRespect.io.
Only the one that goes there from this group. EOS support is live chat for all of EOS. EOS Respect is private. It's a funding networking arm from EOS support. You need to be an affiliate, you need to be invited, and you need to bring value. It's not a friendship network. So if you contribute to EOS, you can prove it, and you meet the qualifications for an affiliate, you can join.
Yeah, I'll also add to that. So EOS Respect was started by EOS support, led by Randall and Charles Bishop and Dario and all them. And they basically forked the code base of Eden Elections, Eden on EOS, and they use the Eden Election software. So just like we've been using for the past 4 seasons of Eden, they use that same software basically with a couple of minor tweaks. One of the main tweaks is that it happens every month rather than every 3 months. And then they also have some different systems, like they aim to support Pomelo projects and stuff like that. But it uses essentially the Eden Election software.
Pomelo is just a tool. It's not, it works with Pomelo, but it runs through the validation of the community. So if you do good on Pomelo, it doesn't mean you do well on EOS Respect. The value is personally, interpersonally viewed.
So that answers my question. I actually thought it was the same thing. I thought it was just another website.
Right about it.
Different.
When I write about it, I look at it, I present it this way. EOS, Pomelo does a statistical analysis. We do a person-to-person analysis.
Yeah, it's a really cool project. They also have like it looks super cool. They have different kind of branding, a different kind of vibe. There's been Mark has been participating. There's been a few elections now, and there's been several dozen people who have been joining and being delegates, and they're receiving funding from EOS support. And then they're also publishing the videos on the EOS support YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. Thanks.
Surprised some of the other people from here aren't part of there, but I do know Nova Crypto just joined, Lennie just joined. We're building a website, so it takes time to get to people, and that website will allow faster onboarding. But everybody's interested. Dan, you know pretty much technical stuff, but yeah, it's just to make sure we don't have malicious people.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great project, really exciting. I'm looking forward to reaching out and joining at some point. And then also just to clarify too, so because there is some confusion here that, or something that adds confusion potentially, that Eric did here in the message, and then I've seen people do before. So Eric called it Eden Respect in the message, and then parentheses EOS Respect.io. So the EOS Respect that we're talking about, created by EOS support, that's called EOS Respect, not Eden Respect. It uses the Eden software, but it's called EOS Respect, whereas Eden Respect is what we're doing here.
That's why I created this list. So I run the Doing Fractally on group on Saturdays, and those are for people who you can see it in Mighty Networks, and that's for people that are actually trying to pick a group and make it work for a specific group. And so I just listen to what people said, is put in the projects and potential tools that may form a front end someday. So feel free to let me know. I'm about to put this into a mind map, but I just wanted to get it down so that people could correct me for things like this.
To keep it clear, EOS Respect is not so much about consensus. We just use it as a tool. Or if you're looking to do governance for a PhD project or for your corporation, you don't want to use EOS. If you want to come to Eden.
Yeah, these are just what people nominated as things that could be used to build somehow a portfolio for the front end. So we haven't voted, we haven't got consensus. I'm just trying to capture what people say. Oh yeah, here's something.
If it helps, you can attach KYC to that for the EOS respect as a difference as opposed to governance.
Could you write that down for me in the chat, and I'll copy and paste it in there and make sure I get it right?
I didn't realize I did KYC. Oh, what's that, Elias?
No, I didn't realize all these different things were flowering up. Very cool. This is.
And by the way, Elias, I definitely have some thoughts on Untruth.io. Good thoughts. I mean, I think it's what's most needed, but I've thought about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm a doctoral student, so we're constantly taking things apart and say, how do we get the truth?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a daily occurrence to me to look at what's being said and say, how do we pull truth out of that?
Yeah.
So love to have a chat on that.
Yeah, I mean, feel free if I don't know if this is an appropriate place, but anytime. So
love to have a chat. If you're on Telegram, you can reach me at my last name.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah, I'll also add too. So we have to do both the ranking of levels and the delegate within the next 24 minutes or so. So we should get onto that pretty soon. But two things I wanted to add or ask first. One, I wanted to highlight the work that Eric is doing in hosting those sessions on Saturday. Those were previously the Genesis Fractal meetings that are meeting at, I think, 15:30 at 15:30 UTC on every Saturday. And Joshua hasn't been hosting for the past few weeks, but Eric has been doing a great job of hosting those and just providing a place for people to discuss progress and initiatives with fractal cooperation, like Eden, or like Matt's working on a great project, and Andrew's working on a great project. This list that Eric shared, there's a lot of really interesting projects there. So if people are available, I encourage everybody to join. And I really appreciate Eric for doing that, as well as all the other great work he's doing. But that's really helpful. And then the second thing I wanted to ask Elias was if you could just briefly, sorry if I missed it or I didn't understand, but, and I haven't had the chance to read it, but if you could just like provide a really quick summary about elevator pitch. I see elevator pitch on Pomelo says Untruth.io is a fact-checking web that is gamified using the EOS blockchain to fight disinformation. And so I'm just curious, how does it use EOS? And if you want to just provide just a quick summary again.
So it's not using EOS right now, simply. But how will it use EOS? So Pomelo does not allow coins, right? So right now there's, so the first thing it will use EOS will be a login. Right now I'm just trying to get the application working. It works with the normal email login. And the first thing to use EOS will be a login using the EOS login. I was hoping the solidity, the Web3 stuff would have been in. We were supposed to go live in September, and I was hoping that would have been kind of convenient to get that in. But the second thing is, I mean, you guys saw the old voice app, and the other one that the purple, I forgot what it was called, Violet.
The Violet Garden.
Yeah, this can be gamified somehow. That Violet, I forgot what it was, you guys mentioned it.
Violet Garden.
Yeah, Violet Garden. This can definitely be gamified. I mean, this is creating content. The more truthful stuff, should earn. How is that determined, right? It's hard to determine what's truthful and what's not, but and the crowd will have to do that by voting somehow or maybe there's some other mechanism, but this is something that could definitely be gamified. I haven't even thought about how to gamify it right now. So it will use EOS and hopefully some kind of a protocol at some point to share this on the EOS blockchain. It's not much you share. It's a link, and how many falsiness points, how many truthfulness points that some link has. This is something kind of personal to me. I'm not going to mention on the video here, but it is when you guys go to some websites, the big media sources, you'll notice that it's not like back in the days when you could actually, it's hard to post a comment. If you try to go to CNN and post a comment, we all assume there's a comment section, right? Or the one that kind of really upset me was our PBS. If you go to a PBS website and post a comment, there's no place to post a comment. And it's not like I think what most of us assume, that there's the ombudsman, there's a checking, and there's validation of truthfulness by themselves. No, you might get a post a comment that goes to the author, but if the author probably knows what they wrote when they wrote it. That is a complete lie, and they wrote it. It's not like somebody else is gonna. The editorial process that we assume is that these mainstream medias have, it's just not there. So this is something I'm trying to do to give us tools to people to show that something is false. So it's, I don't know if you guys ever run into that, but well, as EOS, we were really beaten up, right, back in the days with disinformation. It's really hard to fight disinformation nowadays. So hopefully this will be a useful tool. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for the overview, Elias. I appreciate it. And thanks for all the work you're doing here too with Untruth. It sounds really interesting and hopeful. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that very much.
Yeah, hopefully it'll get to be more useful. It's hard unless you actually see it. Hopefully I want it to get to that point where you actually see how useful it is. So it's not there yet, but we'll get there.
Okay, awesome. I saw Marco, you raised your hand at some point. There was something you want to say as well?
Just real quick, have you considered the impact of Twitter? And again, I think we should do that for the breakout room. I think we should do a thing, but yeah.
Is that for me?
Yeah, no, that was for you, but for the breakout rooms. Have you considered the viewpoint from the website owner of Twitter, using that instead of comments? But let's get to other ranking, because that's like a cool thing.
Yeah, if you want, I could talk about that in the breakout room. But yeah, I definitely want to use Twitter as.
No, I mean the psychological build of a website and the fact that Twitter exists. But again, not from your point, from the websites we're listing.
I'm not. Is the question for me, Megan? Or did you say it's for the breakout room? Go ahead.
For the breakout.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, this is the breakout room, just to be clear. I think you maybe mean the community room.
Oh. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Vlad, I know I've seen you in this meeting before. I know you did the consortium stuff too, right? Is that you, Vlad?
Yep.
Okay. I'm a little bit newbie, so I kind of I'm looking at some of these links.
Shall we go into consensus ranking levels now? We have like 18 minutes left. Okay, cool. You remember how this works, Elias, right? We count down to 3, and then we hit enter to submit who we think should be level 6 and did the most helpful work for the community.
level 6 is the best, or the most work, or the least?
Yeah, level 6 is the most.
Correct.
The most work. Okay.
Correct.
Most or best or most helpful.
I'm having a really hard. I want to give everybody rank 4.
What's that, Marco?
I'm having a really hard time. I want to give everybody rank 4. I can't pick anybody up.
Yeah, that is not possible in this consensus game. So, but yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to choose when people are doing such great work. But that's part of the fun, trying to choose, and then we do our best over time. I'm ready to go with level 6. Is everybody ready for level 6, or does anybody need more time? I think we're ready. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll do level 5.
What do we put in? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So I had 5 or 6 there, I think, and now we'll go on level 5. And now you just got to do the same thing for this, whoever you think did the second most helpful work. Is everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So Vlad has 3 votes. Or actually now Vlad has 4 votes because Marco changed his vote. There's also Tadas had a vote and Eric had a vote. So I think that means that Vlad has consensus. If you changed your vote there, Marco. Okay. Simple. We'll go on to level 4. Unless anybody has any thoughts, then of course feel free to share. Is everybody ready for level 4? 3, 2, 1, and go. Tadas has 3 votes, and Eric has 3 votes. Eric voted for Tadas, and Tadas voted for Eric. Maybe would you guys like to explain, or something you want to say, Elias?
No, I've got a question after this election. After this vote for Mecklenburg. I kind of forgot what you did. But go ahead. About level 3. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. It looks like Eric changed his vote to, or no, rather, Marco changed his vote to himself. So now Eric has 2. Marco has 1. Marco also shared some updates about crypto briefings. Das has 3. So Das 3, Eric 2, and Marco 1. So I voted for Eric. I think Das is doing great work too. I was also thinking of voting for Elias as well, because I think Elias is doing really awesome work, and I appreciate him joining too. And so there's a part of me that wanted to vote for Elias at 4 to respect him joining and to hopefully inspire him to join more often and say thank you for what you're doing with Untruth and everything you've been doing in the community for a long time in general. But the reason why I voted for Eric, and I also voted for Eric for the previous ones too, is just because I think that what Eric is doing with all the things he mentioned is super helpful with the Alien Worlds collaboration, and then also with hosting those meetings on Saturdays, as I mentioned. He's been organizing, and like it's been super inspirational for me and many other people in the community. So I appreciate it a lot. But then again, Tadas is doing incredible work with Albedo and with the Eden Fractal, and so I'm happy to go either way. But that's my reasoning.
I didn't realize Eric was taking over on Saturday.
What's that? I'm sorry, you guys both spoke at the same time, so I didn't hear what you guys said.
Didn't realize Eric was taking over on Saturday. It's a big contribution.
Yeah, he has been for the past couple of weeks. I don't know if it's a long-term thing. I hope he'll continue to do it.
Josh just turned it over to me. He and I had a talk. So yeah, it's my Zoom room now and everything.
stick with Eric.
Was there something you were saying, Elias? It was a little bit difficult to hear you before.
I changed my vote.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so do we have consensus now on? So Marco changed back to Eric, and Elias changed from, I think, Tadas to Eric. Okay, so now Eric has 4. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Shall we move on to level 3 then? Okay. 3, 2, 1, and go.
With consensus.
Okay. It looks like Tadas has 4 votes there. Although somebody didn't vote, but he's got 4 either way. So, okay. Now move on to level 2. 3, 2, 1, and go. And it looks like it's a split between Marco and Elias. 3 each. I'll also say I really appreciate what Marco has been doing too. The update scripter briefings are really awesome, and I'm super supportive and excited about what Marco's doing. I gave some of my reasoning for voting for Elias before, so that was part of the reason I can go on, but I'll just keep it brief. But I really appreciate both of you guys' work, so thank you.
I love what Elias is doing. I think Elias gets points because I always give for future development that's going to be, I try and give that a little bump. But usually I try and anchor that if there's something that has more immediate benefits. So I always take the future thing in there. I hope that Elias is going to rise to a huge player. If that thing, if what he does works, I think that's probably the most valuable anything we're doing here. I would give it, but right now it's an idea which I really appreciate. But for ranking, I wish there was something to anchor it kind of now, because to me there's 3 things I look at. How you sharing the words, because marketing this stuff is critical, and of course Dan is the master of that. But next to that is what Marco's doing too. Marco's is not just doing it, but he's building a future infrastructure in there, kind of like Dan's doing with DAM. So not only is there something that's anchored in the present, they're both doing things which move out to the future. I think Elias is more future, but I didn't see anything anchoring it to the present. So I give the bump to Marco, which I always appreciate the marketing part that Marco and Dan do so well.
Another thing or two that I'll add. Oh, is there something you want to say first there, Marco?
Marco,
Yeah, no, I just want to welcome Elias to the community. He comes with a full idea. Not everybody who comes here comes with an idea and passion like he does. And most of this week was spent corralling Pomelo projects. And I don't know how much we relate Pomelo to what we're doing here. And as I said, EOS Respect is it's a different approach than Eden. They're both for EOS. Just to give the nod to Eden and Elias the continued motivation.
I appreciate that. But Marco, I think that's you on Twitter too, right? So you also are active on Twitter. So I think I don't think you wrote that on there. So yeah.
I kind of visit Twitter once a week. I'm there, other times I can get there more often, but once a week spending a couple hours on there is kind of tough.
I see you though. I see you. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm keeping my vote to you for you, Marco.
2 things I'll add.
I defer to you.
I was going to add 2 things in support of Elias too. So one, I'm not sure everybody's familiar with Elias's work before Untruth too, but Elias used to manage a website called eosvoters.com too, and he's been helping with the EOS community for a long time. I remember listening to Elias talking about very interesting projects and like the pilot elections for Eden, I think last year, or the first Eden elections. So he's been doing work for a long time. So I think it's helpful to value like long-term community members. And especially when people come for the first time. I greatly appreciate what Marco is doing too, but I just that's why I think it's best to vote for Elias here. But it's still at 3 and 3, I think. So, or unless Tadas switch. Okay.
I would also like to say that I don't think, and I'm guilty of that too, I don't think Marcos is a really long-term member, and I don't think he probably gets the respect that he deserves. And I think that's probably because we don't have as much insight as we should into what he's doing. So I would argue that Marco is a longtime community member that should probably be getting more respect than he's been getting.
My view is, how do you get these people just coming to EOS up to speed? And we're already up to speed mostly. So I could target. I am planning on targeting getting us up to weekly speed, but I figure that's going to be secondary, and it just flows easier in organization to target toward existing members, active members, weekly members, after laying a foundation for anyone coming in. They see something in Telegram, you don't need to explain the whole thing. They can go there to the briefing site, click on a few links, and okay, I have a decent idea. This is what I want to pursue or not. And we're developing, so we're not going to, if we're flying by, we're not going to be paying attention to traffic on the road. But I got level 6 last week, and I want Elias to stay with us. So I like his passion.
Yeah, Mark, I'm voting for you. Next week I'm gonna come up with an example that actually shows a little bit more usefulness. So next week, guys. So I think
looking forward to it.
Actively, it's week per week, right? So I'm definitely voting for Marco.
So, well, I was just confused because it looked like Elias had consensus because Tadas changed his vote to Elias, but then Marco just changed to himself too. In either case, we should get this resolved soon. Okay, Marco just changed back to Elias. So we've only got like 4 minutes to the delegate, so I say we move on. I think
Marco is going. If Marco's going to change to Elias, then I'm changing to Elias.
Okay. Sounds good.
He's going to go from himself to Elias.
Okay, so we got a consensus on Elias now, and we only have about 4 minutes left for the delegate. So let's try to do this quickly. Who is interested in being a delegate? I'm interested. If anyone is interested, raise your hand or let it be known.
I haven't done it before because I didn't fill in, but I'll put in just because I'd like the experience.
My time's running out, so throw that out there. If anyone else is in.
Okay, so who is currently a delegate? So Vlad was elected a delegate last week. I was a delegate previously, but my time is out now, so I'm not a delegate at this point. Same with Tadas, I think. So you're a delegate right now, Marco, but only for another week or two or something like that. Is that correct?
I thought my time was done this week. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'd have to look at Tadas' spreadsheet or something to find out.
Dan, what's your username?
EOS, it's just Dan, D-A-N.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, I need the link to the tool. If anyone has one of the wallets, here's mine.
Okay, so
Marco is not a delegate this week anymore as well.
Okay, so the only person who's a delegate is Vlad, and he doesn't want to run right now.
Yes, it would seem so.
Okay, so we only have a few minutes. I suppose the fastest way to do it is right in the Zoom chat and do the same process. that we would do for level 6 or 5 or whatever, but just do it for the delegate. Does anybody want to share any thoughts or words or pitches or anything like that first, or should we just
Well,
get
yeah,
into Zoom?
I think Dan is the top performer always in there. You should always be a delegate. I wasn't aware that you weren't, so. So I just think you need to be a delegate over anybody in the whole thing. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah,
Thank you, Eric.
I don't know what a delegate is, but I just assumed it'd be the top person.
The delegate is, I mean, basically right now it's just a signaling thing. It's not really any like super formalized power, but basically in the hour after the breakout rooms, we have discussions where we pass proposals. So like basically they have a lot of signaling power to make decisions. So for example, when we changed the time 2 weeks ago, that was the delegates who voted on that. And so there's a system that Tadas created called Eden Fractal, where the delegates from the past 4 weeks, each delegate serves a 4-week term, and then they work together to pass proposals like to change the time or to make community decisions.
Yeah. So I would say either Dan or Marco. I don't know if you want to be a delegate. I don't know. I'll just throw it out. If you are, I'll vote for you too. So either one. Otherwise, Dan. Marco, would you be interested? Is that?
Yeah.
I'm busy this week, kind of, but keep that in mind as well.
Okay. Yeah, and thank you, Eric, for the kind words and appreciation too. So I'd be happy to be a delegate. I think one of the things we should prioritize is just people who have just making sure people have time too. I think Tadas would be a great delegate too. He is leading a lot of the thought and is very thoughtful, and I think he's a great delegate too. But I suppose we should just vote because we only have a minute or two to go. And Vlad just posted delegate. So is everybody ready to write the name of whoever you think should be a delegate in there? Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, it looks like I have consensus. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And also Marco too. I didn't mean to dismiss your delicacy because I also really appreciate your working too. But I just think it's a
better choice. I guess I'm campaigning for the next thing.
Okay, cool. It sounds good. Thanks, Marco. I'm looking forward to delegating things with you in the future. I'll close the breakout rooms. So there'll be 60 seconds remaining.
I need the room number and some of the other addresses. Anybody's got a list.
This is room number 1. And yeah, if anybody has a list prepared, if you could share it, that would be helpful. I'll also work on doing that as well. And great meeting, everybody. Thank you.
You can just take it off your account, right there. Oh, blocks.
If somebody posted it on blocks, then it should be there already, but I haven't posted it yet.
I forgot. I research. The only other one I have is Vlad's.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, Dan, what group were we in? Were we in one?
Yes, we are in group number 1, Eric.
Okay, guys. Thanks. See you next time. I have to go now.
Thanks so much, Sebastian.
Same for me, guys.
Need to focus
on one of immediate task. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jorge. Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks, everybody. Hope you had a great time. Have a great day. All right.
And hi everyone. I was joining a little bit late. I was in the group with Jorge and Lennie and Sebastian, just to give my respect there, joining lately, but I'm joining.
Well, thank you for joining, Patrick. It's great to see you, and it's certainly better late than never.
Bye. Okay.
Are you going now?
No.
Okay.
Joking.
Okay. Cool.
So how is the new feature of Vlad into the tool? I have no chance to see, but I imagine what I have watching of the last week, the recording, seems that it is a yeah baby. So
yeah,
thank
baby.
you, Vlad. Thank you, Vlad.
Yeah, baby.
I confirm. Yeah, baby.
And thank you, Patrick, for
oh, it's just a
for
feature.
doing that and asking Vlad and
I was not
well.
asking to put the yeah baby, but I was asking to put the feature. But he made that fun, and thank you. And by the way, we have the Eden Fractal brainstorming session, the second one, on next Tuesday. And Dan, you will be very kind if you can send Vlalendas. I have read, however, that I was not joining. I have read all what you have written. If you can put the link into the mind map, the Eden Fractal brainstorming session mind map, if you can send the link when you have a new idea in your brain, whatever it is. If it is something complex to discuss, send the link to the Eden Fractal brainstorming session mind map. Like this, when we open the mind map on next Tuesday, we have the mind map updated. If you don't do, I will do in all case, but I am very busy also. That's what I have made possible, to send the link to the mind map. And that will be a nice episode on next week, as that was the first one, the last week. That was a fantastic one. You see all the marketing with the bees, the comments. Now we have the swarm comments. That's just incredible. I don't know what you think about all that, but that was a nice one, the last one. And there was Tadas. Thank you, Tadas. He was there. Dancing Joy, Lennie, Jesse. There was Vlad. There was, myself here. So I am committed for the Eden Fractal brainstorming session. I will never lose them. For the Eden Fractal meeting, sorry, I was not there the last week. I couldn't join, impossible. And today I was late because the work, because the consulting. And that doesn't mean that I don't want to join. So I try to join as I can. I was also reading Tadas putting into the Discord, if you are not joining, maybe as a counselor, you lose the right. I have not read all in detail, but it's clear. I was a counselor a lot of time, and if I am not joining, but I am doing what I said, at least as a counselor, I have made what I said. So it's not tragic if I am not joining every time, but I will do what I can do. I cannot promise anything.
Yeah.
And for the weekend, sorry to cut you then. For the weekend, I am in favor to do sometimes on the weekend, and I understand the remarks of CIC, what he mean, what he think, what he was writing. Yeah, you can point to the article on Fractally, where Gregory Wexler was writing, when a fractal start, maybe the weekend, when it's not easy. But you know what? We were on the Fractally meeting on the Saturday a lot of time with Daniel Larimer. Now there is seems to be like a pause because the regulation problem and all. So why not sometimes do Eden Fractal on the weekend? I am not against. Now we have to choose if we want to do it, and then we have to choose the day and the time. So that will be the Sunday or the Saturday or the Sunday. So that will be not easy, but so CIC was expressing that could be someone else that was coming from his mouth, his thought, but he's not the only one that has in mind maybe to do sometimes on the weekend. So I just leave that here.
Thanks, Patrick.
In the order.
A stone in the earth. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for tossing the stone and sharing your thoughts. I see Marco and Vlad have their hands up, so I'll pass it over to them briefly, but I just want to briefly respond to a couple of things you said there first, Patrick. First, thanks for the great brainstorming session last week. That was super helpful once again, and all the marketing, and that was super helpful. And also the ideas that we had. I think one of the things that'd be great to talk about is the new agendas. And thanks for reading that, Patrick. That was super inspiring for Cagendas and Vlalendas, and looking forward to discussing that more. And then there were several things you said there, so I don't know if I'll remember everything. But one thing I also want to note, too, in case people aren't aware, Eric is hosting the Fractally Genesis meetings, and not the Fractally Genesis meetings anymore, but they're at the same time. And there's been probably 10, the average of 10, maybe up to 15, sometimes 5 people. Somewhere people have been joining and sharing really helpful ideas. So I encourage everybody to join those. If you're interested in practical cooperation, they've been super helpful. And I'm also still hosting the Eden Town Halls every Sunday at 16 UTC. So I welcome everybody to join. And yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing more. I saw CEC and Tadas posted some new things. I haven't had a chance to read them, but looking forward to reading more. And I'm also writing more in response to the potential weekend meeting. So looking forward to exploring that more. And I think with that being said, then I'll pass it on now to Marco and then Vlad.
Thanks. Elias, I added your project to a collection on Pomelo. You can see the link there. I already did initial funding, so that'll be the next round we'll do, I guess. And I shared my grant there. If anybody else has a project, Patrick, you're already there, and we're contributed to. Lennie, same. Who else here? Which you can check there. If anyone else has a project, the idea is to get all the projects that we have interpersonal connections with in a spot. That's it.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you very much. And yeah, Marco also shared links to the collections too. I know Patrick's also been doing collections. We were talking about before too. So go check out Pomelo and support all the cool public goods on Pomelo, everybody. Vlad?
Yep. I'm checking the spreadsheet with the delegates right now. And I think there's not enough delegates present for us to pass anything. Is that so?
Can you share a link? I can get it to, or anybody shared a link to the spreadsheet yet?
Yeah, I shared it. I can share again.
Okay, thanks. So this.
I just want to say, sorry to interrupt. I want just to say I have put here the 2 links very important. The first link is to send the link to your collections that you create in Pomelo. Like this, I collect them in the Pomelo collection mind map. And the second link is to send your proposals, the links to the proposal for Eden Fractal that you want to see appearing into the Eden Fractal brainstorming session mind map. And I put a third link, that's the Zoom link by Dance Enjoy, that never expire. That's the Zoom link to use to join the session. That's all.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, and also, I think I said before, but I'm looking forward to the next Eden Fractal brainstorming session that's happening on the 29th at 16 UTC for 1 hour.
Yeah, let's take time to put the link into the mind map, to make some discussion already here, and then on the on the Eden Fractal brainstorming session, it's 1 hour committed, and that was great with Dan the last time. Thank you to host that with me. That was very nice and very committed. 1 hour, that was nice. That was perfect. I think here also you are very committed. I saw the last week episode. That was very in time. That was nice.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for hosting and coordinating it, and it is my pleasure. So, a couple of things. Well, first off, Vlad, is there anything else you want to say? Your hand is still up.
Well, it seems that in Council 6, Pascal is missing, and in Council 5, Jesse. So not enough delegates.
Okay. Yeah, so this is, for one thing, I think it's a helpful lesson and reminder. I think when we're electing delegates, we should ask if they'll be able to participate in the breakout rooms and encourage that people who are delegates to be there for the next 4 weeks. So that doesn't hold us up from making proposals or passing proposals. And with that being said, we could still discuss these things, and I think that it'd be helpful to discuss it, and then hopefully we can pass it next week and have enough delegates next week to pass agenda. But first off, I mean, I just wrote the new proposal for Vlalendas just last night, and I shared it. So I imagine a lot of people probably haven't had a chance to read it and absorb it too. So perhaps it's for the best that rather than passing something right now when people haven't had time to look at it or offer different suggestions, we can just discuss these agendas ideas. I'd be happy to share my screen and present it or answer any questions. And then we can just consider it. We can also perhaps consider these during the brainstorming session next week and then come to consensus about an agenda system for next week.
That's very, that would great if you introduce the very abstract and vulgarize what is Vlalendas, and then exactly on the next session next week we can iterate on cajendas and his variant Vlalendas. I think that would be very nice. Yeah.
Sounds great. I agree. So before I share it, though, I'll pass it on because I know see Marco and Lennie have their hands up, and Tadas also had his hands up too before. So I'll pass it over to Marco now, and then I'll raise my hand, and then after everybody else speaks, then I'll share a bit more details about. I'll share my screen and show the Vlalendas a little bit and give it a high-level overview. Then anybody can ask questions or anything like that. And for that being said, I'll pass it on now to Marco.
I just noticed, Eric, you're not really focused on EOS, it's more Eden, but I want to clarify, is it Eden first or Fractal first? Is it the tech first or is it the community first?
It's a fractal governance. That's it. It's governance first.
Governance first.
Governance first, and it's whatever works to get governance across, whatever front ends, whatever back ends. Obviously, I use this as one of those platforms to be the potential solution, or solutions are part of a solution.
I get that. I'm just wondering if EOS is necessary.
Yeah, this is just a customer-based focus. Let's actually get organizations successful in doing governance. A lot of this is working on the method tools and methods is what we're doing a lot here at the moment, and I'm into application of those tools and methods. Promoting.
I understand it's for a dissertation. I was wondering if EOS is necessary, if Eden were to take on another blockchain, if that would be enough. I understand the fractal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. I mean,
that helps. That's fine.
I just want what's best for real people out there who are trying to get stuff done. And of course, I respect EOS and Eden, and that's why I'm here. I mean, I hope it comes out of here and we can use it.
No, it helps if it helps with it. I wasn't sure they're on the technical versus the social.
But the other thing is, you know, Eden EOS has a seat at the governance table. So as we launch the Center for Governance, you know, I expect Eden to have its own room in there along the representatives. So when you walk into that center, and we're putting a representation of that onto Alien Worlds, because gaming is part of the people who can really use it. So if you look at those projects, one of them is the Alien World Planets is just one of the real world, you know, applications, but so is the Art Association, so is Retail Pizza. So that's my real passion, is figuring out who can benefit and get them to benefit, and then using things like what you, Marco, and Dan, and the bees are doing to tell everybody about it and promote it.
The
So
other
to
thing I
get this
wanted
to work, we need real use cases for somebody that's
Oh,
not
absolutely, absolutely.
us. And so that's my priority, is getting a real use case that we can publish and talk about and interview, and that can help create the content to push this stuff.
The other thing I wanted to ask before I pass it over to Lennie is on Patrick. Do you need all those collections, or you just need the projects for the mind map?
Sorry,
Do you need the independent?
what's the question?
Do you need the independent collections for the mind map, or just the projects, each independent project?
You have just to send a link to the collection you create. So if you create a collection about, I don't know, Web3 tools, and you put in it a different Pomelo grant owner, just send the link to the collection that you create.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah.
My thing was, you're going to have a collection of collections on the mind map. So I'm wondering if you have a collection of independent projects, because the collection's already organized. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, I want to map out that into the mind map. That's just a secondary way to visualize and explore the things. And I just want to do that parallelly. Daniel Keys, I was discussing with him that when that was beginning this feature, and I stated that I will do this. That's give awareness for the people that are putting their collection on Pomelo. And then the mind map is on an article on Bywire, and there is a tweet retweeted by the Swarm. So that's given, and I pay for that, and I pay for that.
I get that. What I was, what I'm wondering is, how do they?
But you can do as you want. You can send a link to your collection, or to many collections as you want. And I know that it is from you, because I received through the web form. I see it's Marco. He has made a different.
No, I get that, and I have both the collection and the project. So I'm wondering how the projects will show stuff. Since you're
you will see a nice mind map coming.
Since your project is within my collection, and you have your own collection, if it's going to branch out, then your project will show under my collection.
No, there will be a branch per collection, and there will no Russian puppet where you go in a collection and then that's make magically the links between the things. That's just a mind map of collections.
So you don't have a submission for independent projects. I didn't see that link.
You can also send for independent project if you want that I map out that. Don't worry about that. That will be nice, and that will be a fantastic experience, and that will be a fantastic mind map. As always, that will be used. And there will be the cockpit with Jesse Jaffe for the Swarm coming. A nice cockpit. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Marco.
Yeah, thanks. So a couple of things before I share about the Vlalendas. One, I'll also post this on the mind map. So thank you for reminding me about that, Patrick. I didn't do it earlier because I did this pretty late last night, but I'll do it later.
No problem. No problem.
And then, and then also Tadas, I saw you had your hand raised, but it's down. So I suppose I'll go first, but if you want to say anything first, then feel free.
Yeah, just wanted to say that I agree we should talk about your Vlalendas proposal.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Tadas. And I'm very interested to hear everybody's feedback. I'm very interested to hear your feedback in particular, Tadas, too. We went back and forth, and you had a very interesting proposal and idea for agendas too, which that's also curated on the agenda site. So this week I went back and reviewed all the previous agendas, and so yeah, there were some really interesting suggestions there, and I put together a new proposal called the Vlalendas, and then also curated the older proposals, the original proposals, and all the proposals that have been made on the agenda site too. So there's lots of interesting ideas there. I'll share my screen. I think that'll be helpful to show you, and I'll just share it for a minute or a couple minutes, and then feel free to jump in with any questions. I'll just try to give you a high-level overview. Okay, so you guys are able to see the floating clock in space now, right? The hand watch, whatever it's called. Yep. You guys are able to see the screen now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, so there's 3 different articles I'll show briefly here. This is edencreators.com/agendas. And this article, I made it at first last month. So back on, I think, October 18th or so during Eden Fractal meeting 20, there were 6 different people proposed, 6 different people proposed 6 different proposals. So I put together this page to curate that. And I wrote a little introduction and made some artwork for agendas, and there's a table of contents where you can learn more. But basically, I curated the proposals from Vlad and Tadas and Lennie and myself and Felix and Jesse, and then 2 more recent proposals about Vlalendas and Cagendas. And then there's some writing at the bottom, but you can scroll through. I encourage you to do so. I tried to just make it as easy to read and more digestible and well organized. So you can see descriptions about Vlalendas here and descriptions about Cagendas, and then each prior proposal, like Vlad's proposal and Tadas's proposal, and then so forth. You can scroll down further to see other proposals from Lennie and so forth. And there's much more here too. So you could check those out. Each of these have a page on themselves. So for example, if you click on Vlad's proposal, then it brings up this page where it's like edencreators.com/agenda/Vlad's proposal or something like that, where you can see Vlad's original proposal. And then there's all the discussion about this as well. So there's lots of discussion that happened in Discord or over these Eden Fractal meetings. So I did the timestamps of when Vlad introduced the idea, also did the same for Tadas and Jesse and several other people. And then there's all the discussions, so everybody can review all the questions that I asked, Tadas asked, or Vlad asked. We had lots of discussions in the breakout rooms. So that's kind of some context here. Basically, we've been trying to figure out how to organize this hour after the breakout rooms most effectively as possible. We have this great game and this great system in the Eden plus Fractal system for the first hour. And then the question has been, how do we organize our time for the second hour to pass proposals or to make announcements and different things like that? So this is all in effort to do so. So these are proposals to do that. There's Lennie's proposal, and you can do the same thing for Tadas and everybody else who made proposals. You can go scroll through all of the information about it so you can review these. Tadas and Lennie had both very interesting ideas. I'm looking forward to exploring Tadas' proposal more because he has a different view on it, but I went with a proposal. I spoke with Vlad this week, and I basically asked Vlad what he thought would be best to do after hearing the Cagendas proposal and stuff like that. And then I wrote down what I thought sounded best. We kind of went back and forth, and largely this new proposal of Vlalendas is a result of what Vlad and I discussed, but I'll get to that in a moment. First off, I'll say last week I made the proposal called Cagendas, which is a new game to help communities allocate time more effectively during this second hour. And I think in addition to this being helpful for our community right now in making decisions, these can also be very helpful for many other communities who are cooperating with this Eden plus Fractal process and Fractal process and so forth. So last week I published edencreators.com/cajendas with a C. And then this week I made some updates to the table of contents and I added the feedback from last week's Eden Fractal brainstorming session. And then I also added some new ideas about how we can combine Cagendas with videos, with dams and ideathons and all sorts of stuff. And then I added Cagendas game modes as well, which I'll mention in a moment. But basically, this was a simple game where people could vote on 5-minute time slots in real time to speak. And then we had the discussion during the Eden Fractal brainstorming session, and some of the main feedback from Jesse and Vlad was that they wanted it to be more flexible, so we could talk about proposals for longer or ideas for longer if needed, and they wanted to make it so we can vote in advance, not just in real time, but vote in the week before. So you can watch the full video on Patrick's Nova Crypto YouTube channel here, and then also on this website at Cagendas, there's more notes, and you can see a timestamp where you have feedback from Jesse and Vlad and so forth. So this is all, once again, curated here on edencreators.com/cajendas or /agendas. And then just this week, after speaking with Vlad, I made a new proposal. I called it Vlalendas. It's a portmanteau or combination of Vlad, Lennie, and agendas or cajendas, because the idea was largely inspired by Vlad's proposal and Lennie's proposal, and then the feedback about cajendas. And so Vlalendas, it's a fun word. It's kind of a placeholder name. We can change it in the future if we want, but it's got a nice ring. I think it's pretty cool. But it basically, it's a new cajendas game to help communities create agendas and choose discussion topics and allocate time. And it's optimized for Eden Fractal with the feedback that we had from last week with Jesse and Vlad suggesting to be more flexible and to be able to do it in the future. So there's table contents. There's also a lot of details here. You don't have to read everything. I put a lot of work into just organizing it well for people who are interested into the details, but there's also just a very high level summary too. So in table contents, there's a summary and how it can help different communities. And then there's a kind of a writing about how cajendas and Vlalendas compare, and then some considerations too. But basically right now I'll just show this can be helpful for creating agendas and proposals and making announcements, making promotions, managing speaking time, all sorts of things. It started out as just passing proposals, but I think this can also be helpful for just if somebody has a promotion, they want to share their work with the group, then they could potentially make a proposal. People can vote on it, and then we can allocate time in that way. But basically, the way that this works, I summarize it in 4 points. It's one, community members can propose and vote on topics in the week before meetings. They can vote on consortium and propose on consortium, and then votes need to be submitted at least a day before the weekly meeting. So all the delegates, everybody has at least a day to just review it and then make up their minds, or at least consider any questions or anything like that, prepare for the meeting. Secondly, the topic that gets the most votes on consortium is presented first, and whoever proposed the top topic can present it or delegate somebody else to present it for up to 5 minutes. This is counted right now with Eden respect points because that's how consortium works. But and so that works well for now. In the future, there's also other modifications we can make, potentially making it so that Eden Fractal delegates have some voting power, like Jorge suggested, or something like that. But that's how it works right now. So whichever topic gets the most votes presents first, and they can present it for 5 minutes. And then the council basically decides when to move on to the next topic. So if people want to have Q&A or discussion about the topic or proposal for 5 minutes, then they could do just short and then move on to the next topic. Or if it's a really big topic, then takes a full hour, then so be it. You just do one proposal in the hour, and the community will decide with the council when to move on to the next topic with the Eden plus Fractal Council. And then this process can repeat. As I was just saying, you do as many topics as you can during that week, and then for the next week, if it didn't get discussed or you want to discuss it more, then you can propose it again for the next week's meeting. And at the end of every week, the votes reset. And then just as a general note, this is an iterative process. So this probably isn't the perfect way to do it for the long term, but I think it's a great way to start. It's quite simple, and I think it'll work quite well. And then we could test it and then learn more. There's also more details here too. I think I basically summarized it, but I just wrote it a bit more comprehensively here. And then there's also some stories about how it relates to cajendas and agendas and stuff like that, but and how I see it as kind of different game modes of cajendas, kind of like how you have different game modes of a video game or different game modes of poker or something like that. But basically the idea is just to help community set agendas. And so Vlalendas takes in parts from Lennie's proposal and Vlad's proposal and cajendas idea to help communities like Eden Fractal just decide on topics, and with a simple way where you vote on consortium, and then we can take it from there. There's more here too, but I'll leave it at that. Once again, it's at edencareers.com/Vlalendas, and you can check out the table of contents to read. Also, just one last note too is I think that we should just bear in mind that these are early systems too, so it's not like set in stone. This is if we do approve this way or some other way, then we can still be flexible, especially as we're first starting and testing these out. Like, for example, if we don't have enough delegates at a meeting, then we could come to consensus as a group in some other way to decide to move on to the next topic. We don't have to be, completely constrained by the system, but it's a good guide, I think, for us to have this. And the more that we can stick to a process like this, I think the more smooth the meetings will be. So I'll leave it there. I've been talking for a while. Sorry if I spoke for a while. I see Jorge has some questions in the chat too. I'm happy to respond. If anybody else wants to respond to that, he's talking about grant proposal for Eden Fractal. But first, I'll just open it up if anybody wants to respond to what I just shared or share thoughts or respond to Jorge first. Thank you, everybody. And feel free to ask any questions or share any thoughts.
You raise a hand. I know that's reactions.
Yes, that's it.
So those would be like, I do have a question generally about Eden Fractal and where things are, you know, you guys probably have thought about it with that other, since that company has that big grant to create a DAO infrastructure for EOS, more Antelope, I'm not sure. Forgot what the name of the company is. Where would these things kind of, so would these kind of be apps? And, you know, where do you guys think things are going to go in the future? Do you know what the company I'm talking about? That one company that received like 500,000 USD to create.
Is it Hypha? Hypha probably.
Hypha DAO. Yeah. So yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, and where would these apps, agenda making? These are great ideas. I like these ideas. But where kind of does this fit into the future when these apps kind of would be done? You know, yeah, that's my question, or what I'm kind of thinking out loud.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Elias, for asking and sharing your thoughts. So I'm not totally sure. We're gonna see how it goes. So Hypha's doing really cool work. They actually got an $850,000 grant from the ENF last month, and they're building DAO tools on EOS and Antelope, and they're doing a lot of really cool and interesting work. I actually just spoke with Joaquin, who works with Hypha during the Eden Town Hall last week, and he shared some exciting updates. I'm going to be sharing that video soon. I don't think that they're working on agenda systems. I hadn't heard that. Maybe they are, and maybe it can be helpful for Eden Fractal community at some point. And they have lots of tools that can be helpful. But basically, the reason, and thank you for the feedback too. I'm glad you liked it, Elias. But right now, we had kind of an immediate problem, or just an immediate need, in that we're just trying to manage these breakout rooms. Most communities aren't cooperating with this Eden plus Fractal or Fractally process yet, and we're doing it every week. So we have a pretty unique situation where we had the first hour, which was really structured, and that has provided really amazing experiences for the past 25 weeks. And then now we're just trying to figure out how to organize the second hour so that we can make decisions together. So we had the Eden plus Fractal process that Tadas proposed we adopted a month and a half ago, and that's been working out great for choosing delegates. And now we just need a way to figure, okay, how do we prioritize proposals? What should we discuss first, or what topics should we discuss first? So it's kind of to solve our own needs first and foremost about organizing this time better. But then also the way I'm thinking about it is that we can package all of these tools together that we're building to help other communities cooperate in a similar way. So Eden Fractal is kind of pioneering and leading the way, figuring out, okay, how do we cooperate? How do we do these weekly meetings? And we've had all of our learnings over the past 25 weeks, and we have the Fractally and the Eden plus Fractal process now. And now we're also figuring out an agenda system, whether it be Vlalendas or some other system. And then I'm planning on building some brands to help market this to like a wider audience, so that we can reach out to like musicians or video creators or researchers or different communities that could use this process to have meetings every week and to rank contributions, elect delegates, and then use some sort of cagenda game to discuss topics and make decisions together. So we could definitely collaborate with Hypha at some point. I'm not sure how much they're working on this particular, but they're working on a lot of cool things. And then as we get this to work for ourselves and we test it more, then we could also make it into a tool that we can say, okay, here's any community can use the Eden plus Fractal process plus this cagenda game or whatever, and that's pretty much a full package in a lot of ways to help people cooperate with these cool video calls and make decisions and stuff like that.
That sounds great. It's going to dovetail perfectly with the other DAO tools. It's pretty cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, of course, and thank you for asking. And yeah, I'm very excited. There's gonna be a lot of really cool DAO tools with Hypha and everything, so it'll be really cool to see all these collaborations. I think Lennie had his hands up before, but I think he lowered it, and Eric has his hands up, and Tadas. So I'll pass on, I suppose, to Eric first.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm most interested in collaboration because synergy and platforms is really the way to go. So anything we can do to put all the marketing, development, operations together and adjusting is great. Well, one of the things I'm also interested in is this idea of ranking versus binary decisions. But binary decisions, yes or no, are where a lot of mistakes make. If you look and study decision making, should we give Dan a raise, yes or no? Because then people start looking for reasons we should give Dan a raise and reasons we shouldn't, when that's not really the right question. It's why are we even having this discussion? Is it because we want, how do we keep Dan with the company, or how do we best reward Dan, or do we most effectively look Dan? So anytime things go into yes or no binary decisions, you have to be careful. It's more like, well, what would Dan like more? Would he like more responsibility, more money, more flexibility, or what are the reasons that we want Dan, and I'm just using this example to go. So I'm interested in that, how we frame those decisions into something that can be decided on. And the other thing is, I'm interested in defining the line of when everybody votes collectively and when you break into fractal groups and rank things. So I'm not sure we have a clearly do that right now. We've got a fractal process to rank contributions, and we've got a voting process to rate proposals. And I'm still looking for, wonder where those, how those two best can meet.
Thanks, Eric. Great points and great thoughts. I'll write down some notes to respond after Tadas and Lennie and Patrico.
Yeah, so Eric just shared some interesting ideas. I guess my attempt to answer your last question would be that delegates are where election of delegates in these breakout rooms could act as means by which proposals and these breakout rooms meet, if I understood your question correctly. Because the point of electing delegates is to elect someone who will pass proposals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we still have that issue of, are they voting binary or are they ranking things? Because now you put delegates into, for example, we just kind of had this voting, and we're trying to wrestle with this idea of, should we move the time, yes or no? If so, what should we move the time for? And so we're trying to do that by voting on all those simultaneously. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying I just don't have a clear conceptual model how we're doing it. So I'm not saying anything we're doing is bad. I'm saying I don't see I deal in the academic world of coming up with conceptual models and applying them and testing them. So I don't see a clear model yet, which is just something we're working for. And just keep in mind as we're doing that, we didn't really, for example, we didn't rank which ones we did better directly for time. We kind of had people vote on this one, and this one. Not bad. It's just a potential one solution for doing that. I just think it's important to think about how we come up with, because if you look at books like Decisive that talk about why people make bad decisions, confirmation bias is one, groupthink is another, using heuristics and models which aren't really true is another one. There's like 10 reasons why we look at data wrong. But binary, reducing questions to the wrong binary question is one of the top reasons that organizations make bad decisions. By the way, I recommend that book, Decisive, to anybody. And also Factfulness. Factfulness are great books when it talks about how you turn information into effective decisions.
Great points. Thank you, Eric. I've been writing lots of interesting notes and it's very inspirational. Tadas, do you have any more thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, I got some questions and I guess thoughts about Vlalendas. Do you want me to share them now, or do we give Lennie and time to speak first?
It's up to you. You have the floor and your hand was raised first. So I'd love to hear your feedback. Or you could pass on to Lennie and Eric first and then come back to it after they go, however you want to do it.
Okay, so since I have started talking, so one concern I have, first of all, I think it's a better proposal than Cagendas. I like it more. Right now, it seems that it might even be better than what I proposed. It seems better to me right now. But CAC raised one concern in Discord that if we do token weighted voting on some decisions, like if we do token weighted voting on whether to discuss if we should have another meeting or if we should change the meeting time. If we do token weighted voting on this, it benefits the people who are already able to attend, and people who are not able to attend will lack tokens and hence will be disadvantaged. Yeah, so, and that's only one, I guess. In general, I'm wary of token weighted voting and think that maybe some more optimal solution would be one token, one person, one vote, but to get a full vote, you would need to have a certain minimum threshold of Eden respect, for example. And until you get that threshold, you get a fraction of full vote, which is determined by the amount of respect. So, for example, that you would have to attend a minimum of, say, 10 or 12 meetings until you have a full vote. And after that, everyone who has more than that amount of respect gets exactly one vote. So one example how it could maybe be improved, although I think currently in consortium this feature probably does not exist. So I don't know, maybe in the meantime we could use token weighted voting. So these are just some thoughts.
Excellent thoughts. Thank you very much, Tadas. I have some responses as well. I can go right now as well. I also wrote them down too. So should I share it now, Lennie and Patrick, or would you guys like to go first?
Go ahead when it's fresh in my mind.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Patrick, you're muted, by the way. Still muted.
I said, Lennie, you can go first.
I said Tadas go first. No, Dan go first to respond to Tadas.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Okay,
So,
Dan, go first.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'll also respond to Eric and also to Jorge at some point too. But first, I'll just respond to Das just to keep it simple. So a few different points here. So one, I really appreciate your feedback, and those are great points. So one thing as a baseline that I think is just helpful to remember is that token weighted voting with Eden Fractal is very different than token weighted voting in most other systems that are plutocratic and where people can purchase tokens. So these tokens are a much more meritocratic metric than just people who can buy tokens. So that is just a helpful distinction to remember. People have to join and then do good work and be judged by people in the community to show how much good work you're doing. So I'm also very wary of token weighted voting in general. And there are still issues and things to consider here, but it also is a very different situation than token voted weighting when somebody can buy a token where people earn it by doing good work for the community. There's also the point that CAC made, where people who aren't in attendance wouldn't have power to make decisions, but I think that's true either way, and I think that's probably how it should be, at least for now. Like with the Eden plus Fractal process, the only people who have power to make decisions for the community with the Eden plus Fractal process are the delegates, and the delegates have to be there at the meeting to be elected, and then they have to be there after the meeting to make decisions. And I think that's probably for the best. It just makes it simplest that the people who join the meetings can make decisions. And it's a bummer. It sucks if people can't join the meetings. And over time, we should definitely work to figure out ways where we can have more meetings where everybody can be able to participate. But in the time being, I think the Eden plus Fractal process already works where people are there at the meetings. It makes sense where the people who are there at the meetings have the decision-making power over what will happen at the meetings, as opposed to people who aren't there. The idea for a minimum threshold of Eden respect, I'll have to consider that. I hadn't thought about that before. That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if it makes it too complex. Like explaining that to people is a little bit more complex, but definitely got to consider it. And yeah, I've also been thinking along the same lines too. So part of the reason for this proposal is just this is what works with consortium right now. And I think that overall the respect points provide a pretty good metric of like way better than most systems that are plutocratic where people can just buy tokens. Like it provides a pretty good metric of representing the will of the community and how much people are contributing. Generally, people who are helping the community a lot have more respect tokens and so forth, or respect points, whatever you want to call them. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty good, I think. It's quite good, much better than most other systems out there. Perhaps all systems out there is very good in many ways, but it could definitely be improved upon. It's just what works with consortium right now. So I've also spoken with Vlad about the potential of having it so the Eden plus Fractal delegates have voting power. Jorge 2 weeks ago mentioned the idea of what if like the delegates had voting power, so it's not just a yes or no vote. And this also maybe responds a little bit to what Eric was speaking about too, about not just having binary decisions, but having more variability where you could have different amounts of yes or different amounts of no and stuff. So Jorge shared a really interesting idea that I've been thinking a lot a couple weeks ago about what if delegates didn't just have one vote, but you had like 100 votes or like 100%, and then you could allocate your vote differently. So I asked Vlad about this past week when I spoke with Vlad, if it's possible to do that, so that right now the only thing that works on consortium is voting with Eden respect. But at some point soon, when we're able to, when Vlad has time to do it, or we're able to fund Vlad to do it, or whatever needs to be done to get that feature, make it so the Eden plus Fractal delegates can vote on proposals. And then perhaps that might be a better metric than using the Eden respect points. Then it's using just each Eden delegate has some power in determining the priority proposals and stuff like that. I think overall this would work well enough for the time being with the respect points, and then that's something that's definitely interesting to discuss, to use more of the Eden plus Fractal process as opposed to token weighted voting. But yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. And thank you again to Tadas. I'm interested to hear your feedback, as well as Lennie and Patrick and Elias.
Shall I go? Just maybe a short response. Yeah, I agree that this is certainly better than not having any system for agendas, but yeah, so the reason why I'm wary of token weighted voting in this situation is because you want a group of people to have a democratic way to choose everything, including agendas. And in this situation, if some community members don't like the agendas that are being implemented, then the only solution for them is to rank people lower, rank people accordingly, try to rank people accordingly in the breakout rooms, so that respect distribution is adjusted so that agendas are passed accordingly. And yeah, so that will have an effect on how we rank people, and it will, I mean, that you could have such a situation where it could influence how we rank people, and it won't be the object, it won't be the purpose of ranking is to get the best contributors, and this would imply another influence on that. Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah, thanks, Tadas. If it's okay with you guys, I'll just very briefly respond to that. Two things. So one, I completely agree. I think with everything you're saying, and I think that it's best to use the Eden plus Fractal process to. I think the best way would be basically combining the idea that Jorge suggested, where Eden plus Fractal delegates have votes, because then people could vote for delegates who week to week will decide on agendas and have their votes for agendas. And that is more democratic too. Gabriel Shaw made a great tweet quoting Dan Larimer, talking about how democracy is where everybody has a vote and everyone has an equal vote at the outset, which is how the Eden plus Fractal process works. And I think that's really elegant. I think a good next step is to ask Vlad more details about when he could do that, because I think that would probably alleviate your concerns. I think that would probably work out best if we could do that. And then second, the other idea that I had for Cagendas last week was that there's only a limited amount of votes. So currently with consortium, if you have 100 votes, you can vote 100 on each poll. But at some point, we could potentially make it, and this also requires more development on consortium, where you can only have a limited amount of votes each week. So that would also provide a bit more balance, where not, just a couple people could determine all of it, but people had to be wise in allocating their votes. But both those features just aren't available in consortium right now, and I think that consortium provides a lot of benefits. But I think that those are good next steps, though. Okay, Tadas gave a thumbs up, and I suppose Lennie, you'd like to go next?
Yeah, actually talking about binary decisions again. Eric, have you studied the Hypha's organizational app, the whole thing, not anything?
No, I heard Josh Seymour talk about it quite a bit. He thinks very highly, but I haven't.
Why I mention it, they got a very sweet system for doing that kind of a thing. So that actually the membership give their voting. And people, members can offer to do something, whatever. He's gonna do a YouTube video. He's gonna do some other things, and then he actually put up the terms he would do it for, and that can be mixture of cash and tokens or whatever and similar. And the membership actually vote yes or no to it and all these things. So each member have a say and similarly in it. So it becomes a pretty grassroots decision in that sense. But it's hard to explain this way, but it's definitely worth. I might send you a link or something. There is a video, 1 hour 15 or something. I think I've seen it 3-4 times to understand it, but it's a very complete thing, which together with, it doesn't have agendas as far as I recall, but it's a sweet tool that's gonna really, that's part of why I've been studying it, because that's what I'm looking at, trying to get it done in Sweden too, physically in the world. So there is hope. There is hope.
What would you call that if I was to put it on my potential front end components list? Hypha.
Hypha, what do they call it? I don't know formally, actually. I haven't got those things up right now.
I forget. How do you spell Hypha? It's different.
Hypha. Hypha. HY.
All right. I just call it Hypha tool.
Yeah, fair enough. People know what you mean, but definitely I'll toss a video. Maybe I put it in to make it easy. Eden Fractal Telegram group. It's a beautiful 1 hour. It's Reiki, our CD in Eden, who actually goes through all the different elements. And it's a sweet tool, really nice tool. But you don't have to do it all in one go, because then we go berserk. It's too much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lennie. Patrick?
Yeah, guys, listening mode, listening to Eric, with the comment of Eric and Tadas and you, Dan, everyone. I was just thinking a thing. The Eden plus Fractal process that we have approved since now, how many time? Maybe 1 month, something like that.
7 weeks, I think.
Yeah, we are using in the breakout room. That's work for me. I speak for me. my opinion, that's worked very well. We have the delegates elected into the breakout room. I was just thinking I was not joining the last week, but I am still into the councilors. That's correct, just to confirm.
Yes, currently you're in councils 4 and 5.
Okay, and I am of the opinion if you want to discuss on something, on a proposal, or you want to dive into a proposal and discuss about this proposal, you have to attend those meetings. That's for me, that should be something important. But as always, there are impeachment or there are other things to do at those times, and maybe you cannot join. But that's not tragic, because you can learn by not joining this meeting and read maybe the documents, the time that take Tadas to write something, or Dan to write something. You can read, and you can also join the Eden Fractal brainstorming session on the Tuesday at 16 UTC. Though there are not a lot of excuses to not be aware of what is happening here. What I want to say also, we have a lot of, I would say, a good marketing. If you go on Twitter and you see the comments after the Eden Fractal brainstorming session on the last Tuesday, you will see the number of retweets that we have had. The video that Eden Town Hall is also doing on the Sunday by Dan, he's recording the Joachim Hypha. We were meeting with him on that was on last Sunday, or I don't remember exactly. I am there every Sunday with Dan. By the way, we don't know where he is, Felix. That's another thing. That's another point. But for the moment, he was not joining again the Eden Town Hall. He was not joining the Eden Fractal meetings. And what? We continue to do the things. And books, that's good. To have books, to have some theories, to see how the others are doing the things. But that's also good to do our things and to experiment. And I would say, for me, I am here since the beginning. So I think we do a fantastic job. Into the mind map, we have said we have to improve the Eden plus Fractal process about do we use spreadsheet to put our vote? Do we use maybe the proposal of Jorge Ramos to split the, I don't remember exactly the sentence. I just watching now the sentence. It's about to, let me check what is written. Sorry. That is written, we have maybe to spread the votes per delegate and split among the proposal that received the most votes. That's the proposal of Tadas, of Jorge Ramos. That's into the mind map on the branch Eden plus Fractal improvement. By the way, the mind map is very light, very useful, and we use the mind map to make some decision-making process when we are into the 1 hour call into the Eden Fractal brainstorming session. And that's a proof of concept. We have started on the 15 November, now 29 November, and then the last one of the season, 13 December. I have not committed to do 20 episodes. I have committed to do just 3 episodes with a good marketing outreach using the EOSB swarms technology. So we use what the others are doing. And I would say, for me, we are, that's normal that we have councilors, delegates into the breakout room that are elected, and I represent their room, and they do what they said. So myself, I am doing always what I say. Otherwise, I am not okay. I do always what I say. Also, if I am not joining. So for me, it's not a problem to not joining every time, but at least there should be a threshold. A threshold. If you are not joining for, let's say 1 month in a row, you are not joining every week. What can you speak then on a proposal if you have not participated or you have not take the time with the other people to understand their proposal? I think that's, if I understand correctly, what Tadas said also. There should be a threshold, at least something. And also about your proposal, Vlalendas, I was thinking, okay, that's a nice iteration with the cajendas, because on last week, on the 15th November, when you introduced the cajendas, you were stating, okay, we have 5 minutes into the main room to go to present our things, and there could be multitasking, because during the 5 minutes, you have at the same time to accept the other, to understand, you have to take your mind to understand a lot of information. So that would be better to have maybe a 20 minutes than a 5 minutes. And that's what it is addressing your Vlalendas. So very happy. So basically what I want to share, it's what we are doing a good job here, and we are independent of Fractally. We are not making a wedding with Fractally from the beginning. We have started Eden Fractal, Dance Enjoy, Felix, I jumped in, then the Tadas and others. We are very independent of Fractally. We are doing the things on our own. We take our best consensus on the decision, on the proposals. We are signaling that on PBS, Eden Talk, or more on consortium, because it's totally on the EOS mainnet. BBS is also on the EOS mainnet, by the way, but consortium make more sense currently. And we are using the tool that is offering the EOS mainnet. We are not creating a lot of complexity. So I want to say we have to iterate. And by the way, thank you, Eric. He's leaving. Yeah, that's always good to come with new idea. I am not a fan to brainstorm, to, let's say, to use our brain, masturbate our brain sometimes to think something too much complex. We have to reiterate on the things that we have currently, improve them, and not coming every time with something totally off the record. So I think then the Vlalendas is the perfect continuation of the cajendas, and we have to dive into. And the Eden plus Fractal process, for me, it's already a good process, but we can improve as always. And yeah, because if we are reading book for reading book and watching video YouTube for watching video YouTube, at a point, we will never advance. So it's cool to have some video to be inspired, but it's better when that's come from your own mind, and all what it is written on the cajendas, on the Vlalendas, that's all the thoughts of those people very intelligent here. And me myself, I do any proposal because I am not so good to do proposal. I am better to organize them into a mind map and to help you here. I am supporting you. I am here for that. And do the workshops. So the next Eden Fractal update, number 3, by the way, it's on December 9 with Dance Enjoy and Tadas Veticulas, that I'm very happy to do, because we have to market a little bit what we are doing without to wait that we have all made, but because what does it mean to do all? We will never have finished. We are always improving. So I would say I am, as always, maybe too much happy, I don't know, too much positive, but I see that very well going with people that are committed here, and the counselors that we are until now, we are all committed. And if you are missing 1-2 meeting, that's not the end of the world, but it's clear if we want to speak about the proposal, we need to have a certain threshold of participation. Otherwise, I don't know if that makes sense what I say, but I would just share my opinion.
Thank you very much, Patrick. That all makes a lot of sense, and I really appreciate all your words and all your help. And there's one thing that I can respond to there as well that I've done, but first I see Elias has his hands up. So Elias, what do you think?
So no, you know what? I'll let you respond then, and then I was going to respond to Eric's comment.
Okay, cool. Sounds great. Yeah, so I was going to respond briefly to Patrick. I also, perhaps after you go, Elias, then I'll respond more generally because I wanted to respond to what Jorge wrote a while ago and what Eric also said a while ago too. And to Tadas, I wanted to just kind of just share a couple more thoughts there, and then perhaps we should wrap it up pretty soon too because we've been going for over 2 hours now. But I was going to say to Patrick, as I said before, thank you, and then secondly. I think that Eden plus Fractal, it's a really elegant process and it's really, really helpful. And I think it basically solves what you're talking about with the threshold. I'd be curious to hear what Tadas thinks about this too, or just everybody. But I think that it's more elegant. Like Tadas suggested the idea of having a 10 or 12 week idea with the respect points, but I think Eden plus Fractal is probably the most elegant solution. And that already kind of solves if somebody can't be there for a while, then people during the meeting can decide whether they want to elect that person as a delegate or not. And people can subjectively come to consensus about that. So I think we have the solution with Eden plus Fractal. For anybody on who's watching, I see Patrick and Tadas just gave thumbs up on there because Zoom doesn't record the emojis.
I put the emoji up like Tadas. when you stated that Eden Fractal is an elegant process, yeah, it's an elegant process, and we arrived to consensus on what I stated just a minute ago, and also Elias put something into the chat now. We arrived to the consensus that we need some a threshold to be part of the also of the process discussing about the proposal. So we have already the process. It's Eden plus Fractal, but we have raised into the mind map, into the note. If you go into the mind map on the branch Eden plus Fractal, we discussed that on the 15th November. Huh? There was Jesse Jaffe, there was the others. I have put the note. We have put already some improvement for the Eden plus Fractal. So that will never be perfection. Perfection doesn't exist, but at least we can improve, and we have. Because it is smooth, because it is already smooth, it is not, let's say, denaturated. That's totally aligned, this process. Now we can improve more, and that everybody here has a chance to make his voice also heard on the proposal. And I am in favor of the concealers. That's great. At the beginning, I was not in favor of the concealer because I was thinking, oh, we will have maybe always only 3 people on the top, and what about the rest of the members? But indeed, that's very dynamic because every week you have the chance to become a delegate in your room. So that's not fixed. Yeah, I am happy. So. Let's do just the things and continue. I think that's sometimes the problem. We are not doing the things. We are too much thinking sometimes. I think we have to do the things more naturally from the heart. Then that's come to the soul and to the mind. Because if you do always the things by thinking too much, that's denaturated. That will not give a good result. So it's better also to do the things with fun, but at the same time very professional. And that's what there's a Eden Fractal meeting. That's very fun. Yeah, baby. Second point, that's very well organized, you see. And then is committed to do the things in time. That's I am happy. I am disappointed that Felix is no more joining, for sure. But okay, we have to move on. So, and thank you, Elias, to be here, and everyone.
Yeah, so are you done, Dan? Can I?
Yep.
I'd like to kind of reply to Patrick.
Sounds good.
Eric too. So what you just said. So yeah, the idea that when Eric mentioned that thing about the binary process, right?
Yeah.
The part I heard was what I heard him say was we need more process in between. You know, the initial seed idea to the time to decide and vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And, you know, you could do some smart things in there. And actually, when I'm hearing your agenda, you guys, your all agendas thing.
That's what you are doing, indeed.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are going from agenda into a proposal, right?
Yeah, the agendas can be used to choose proposals, prioritize proposals, and then vote on proposals. Yeah.
And then we have the Eden Fractal brainstorming session every 2 weeks, not every week, every 2 weeks. Why, by the way? To have the time to digest the proposals that are made here, and then to dive more in detail. Yeah, Lennie.
Yes. Oh, Lennie was about.
He was leaving. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I want to say what is describing Eric with the binary. That is too much binary. It seems to be that he was thinking that maybe that's too much binary. For me, that's not at all. That's not binary here. We are signaling proposals that are on consortium. Then you have a fantastic dogman here doing a nice article, taking the time to write and to curate the article. Tadas also, genius writer, very well crafted what he writes. You have just to take the time to read, indeed, the time to take. And that's the problem, that's the time. You have not always the time to read all. So what he's doing now is structuring the things into this Vlalendas, he's doing chapters and all. And the mind map also that we have on the Eden Fractal brainstorming session that will help to visualize the things. So we are just now doing since 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we are more committed, we are more organized, and we have a process that we have not before. And we have a good marketing also with the video. By the way, YouTube has launched the shorts. That's very 15-second video that we have to use. That's very powerful. That's give a lot of views when you do a little 15 seconds, that's like TikTok, but in version YouTube. That's very nice. And I have a lot of idea to promote Eden Fractal. I think Dan also. We can cut some 50 seconds of those meetings when Dan is publishing the YouTube video. You do also on YouTube, there is a function, not the shorts, but the clip. You can also choose a portion of the video. You have the timestamps. So you have no excuse to don't do marketing, but not everyone will do marketing for sure. Not everyone that has in mind to publish on Twitter and to use I use a lot, Dan also. And you have different skill set here. You have people that do the proposal that are very good writers, like Dan and Tadas, and Vlad, and Lennie, and Felix. But you have other people that are good to organize, to collect the things. So there are different skill sets. So I think there is no binary here. This is not the place to say, are you approving that we do 1 or 2, or A and B? We have just signaled a couple of weeks ago, are you agreeing to change the start time of the breakout room? Yes or no? There was a majority, a super majority. And then we have choose the time. Do you want 14 UTC, 15 UTC, or 16 UTC? And we have choose 16 UTC because there was, again, a super majority. That's a beautiful process. If that was working like this in the real life, I think we will have less problem. And Switzerland is not a democracy, by the way. It's a false democracy. So it's not a real democracy. So if we could approve this, use this process here, that would be fantastic. And we are here into the matrix. So we are into the parallel world, to the centralized world. And we are here meeting. And the beauty, this process can be applied to the real things that we are doing with our customers. That's nice. I am not so okay with the binary perception.
I agree with you. I mean, at some point it has to become a binary decision, yes or no, right? So
sometimes maybe.
I agree with what Eric is saying about you need some kind of you need a little thought process before just saying.
It depends. It's different. It's relative to the proposal. You have immediate proposal where it is easy to say yes, no, and you have the complex proposals where it takes time to have your brain aligned with Doug or with Tadas or Lennie, because there are the conceptors of this proposal. That's their brain. So you have to be aligned first, then you can move on. No, I don't see binary for all. It's depend of the proposals also. Yeah. Sorry, I speak too much. I will give to my fellow Dancing Joy.
Thanks. So there's a few things I want to say, but first I also want to give the chance to Elias too, because you were saying something. I'm not sure if you finished what you were saying. Is there anything else you wanted to say first, Elias?
Yeah, no, so that's part of it. The second part was, it seems like what you all are saying goes with your agenda. I mean, I think this, maybe I'm just catching up. It goes with your agendas tool, right? And hopefully that dovetails with Hypha at some point too, with their tool. I'm going to check out what Lennie was saying about their tool, their proposal tool. So maybe it dovetails right into agendas, into proposals. And also, though, I think you're going to go about Jorge. Yeah, I think it'd be smart to kind of break up the Pomelo proposals, right? So we're not all recreating the same Pomelo proposal just for Eden Fractal. Maybe it should be for the Vlalendas. That's a hard name. The agendas tool. Eden Fractal agendas tool. Pomelo proposal.
I thought that, sorry to cut you, Dan, just before to give you. I was just thinking, when I was starting on Pomelo season 4 on the 14th November, and by the way, I was the first grant approved. Was like the last season indeed. I was creating collections, and I have creating 3 collections. One is Web3 DAO, where there is Michael grant, Albedo grant, and story about EOS. We have to do a story about EOS. That's Michael O'Sullivan. We have another collection is fractals, where I have put Eden Fractal in it, the grant of Dancing Joy. There is also, no, it's Eden Creator, sorry. And there is also the grant of Felix, Eden Fractal, that he has made. And I have created 3 collections indeed. So we have to promote us, between us, and we have to leverage us together and to market us. We have not to wait that someone else market us. We have to market us. We have the tools. And yeah, just to make it short. But yeah, totally nice idea, Elias, and yeah, and Jorge also. Yeah, about the Pomelo grant. So then, yeah.
Yeah, 2 things before I go. One, I just want to ask Elias, was there anything else you want to say first? And then 2, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it pronounced Elias or?
Eli. Yeah, yeah, you are actually perfectly correct.
Okay, do you prefer Eli rather than Elias?
No, either one works.
Okay.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Like for Nicola of the Bees, you prefer Nico, you prefer Nicolas,
okay.
Nicola.
Cool.
No, so here we have Elias, you prefer Elias or Elia or L. Let's say just L. I am Pat, by the way.
Okay. L and Pat and Dan.
Patrick is doing it perfectly correct, but in America, you're doing it right, Dan.
Okay.
Okay.
It sounds good. Thank you.
And you have dog
and
on the
thanks for
left
all
of
your
the
thoughts.
screen. Dog.
Yes.
Just say dog.
You can call me Dog Man or Dog if you like to.
No, dog.
Okay. All right.
Or dog.
All right. Thanks, Pat.
No, sorry.
Dog the dog. That's right. Okay, cool. So I'll respond to a couple different things from previously, and I'll try to do it quick because I know we've been on the call for a while too. But just to briefly respond, so one, Jorge asked in the chat before, so is anyone creating a grant proposal for Eden Fractal? If no one is going to do it, then I could take on the task. If no one is doing it, I mean a Pomelo grant. So yeah, and then there was, I think, some responses from Tadas and some other people in there too. But basically, yeah, Tadas said that's a good idea and might be a good idea to check with Felix because since he was doing it previously. So yeah, Felix set up the Eden Fractal, a Pomelo grant called Eden Fractal last season, and that was specifically for open source development for tooling with Eden Fractal. I actually just wrote a new page about this in the Eden Fractal Telegram group, which I encourage everybody to join. Pascal was asking about this last week, and I'll share a link there again. But I wrote my experience and also a bit about Felix's experience with Pomelo, because Pomelo is kind of picky. And at first I didn't think that Eden Fractal was providing public goods. We had to word it in specific ways. So I'll share a link there with details about the experience that will, I think, be very helpful for anybody who's interested in doing Pomelo pitch for Eden Fractal. Thanks very much, Jorge, for asking about this. And also, if you could do it, that's awesome. We actually talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the call as well. But yeah, Felix hasn't been participating for the past few weeks. I don't know what he's doing. I hope he's all right. He hasn't, he just stopped joining these. He stopped joining the town halls. He stopped responding to most of my messages. So I hope he's doing well. But as far as I know, he's not doing the Eden Fractal Pomelo pitch. And there is room for anybody to do that. That would also be a great contribution that I'm sure many people in the community would respect as well. And then yeah, I'll share a link in the chat to the place where Pascal and I were discussing this, where people can learn more details about what Pomelo wants and so forth. I suppose you could just use a lot of what Felix wrote previously, because that was passed and that managed to help raise funding for developers, although I'm not sure if Felix has given it to developers too. So that's another thing too. CSC shared some thoughts, like there is a bit of complexity, like because basically if somebody's going to do it for Eden Fractal, then how is it going to work? Like in Felix's case, his intention was to give it to Vlad and Tadas and people for helping to develop, but I'm not sure what has come of that or if he's done that yet. But that's just something to consider. But yeah, Jorge, if you could do it, that'd be awesome. I'll share the links, and that would be helpful to support Eden Fractal. Another thing too, with the new collections feature, I think it's really helpful for somebody to make a collection about Eden Fractal for Eden Fractal participants. I don't know if anybody's done that yet, but like, for example, I have Eden Creators, which is my Pomelo pitch that I'm mostly building, where it's largely aiming to help Eden Fractal, as well as just help Eden and EOS in general. So I'd appreciate support there. And then Patrick has the Nova Crypto, as we talked about. There's crypto briefings and the Untruth.io from Elias, and many people with different projects. I think Jorge, you have a really cool one that I don't remember the name of. Tadas has Albedo. So if somebody could make a collection, then that would also be a helpful service. I would do some of this, but I'm also planning to make 3 of them, which is, I think, the max. I'm planning to do Eden Creators, and then the new Creator Talk podcast I'm going to do one for as well. So I'm not sure if I'll have the ability to make more, but I'm going to see, and I'm still in the progress of doing that. But yeah, thank you for asking and doing that. If you could do that, Jorge, that'd be great. Or if anybody else wants to help with it, that's cool too. I'll also briefly respond. I see Marco and Elias have their hands up, but I'll just briefly respond to what Eric was saying, even though Eric's not here anymore. But I agree, like having more variability is helpful, and currently the agenda system and proposal system is binary. I think that for one thing, it's easier to consider proposal as binary, and we can kind of stack binary decisions to make it have more variability, if that makes sense. Like, for example, when we did the 3 different dates or 3 different times, 14, 15, or 16 UTC, those are all binary decisions, but we were able to choose between the 3 of them. And if you think about how a computer works, computers work in zeros or ones, and it just says, if you want to make a more complex decision, then you can just make more binary decisions and do it faster.
That's paradoxal what you said, because the computer is doing at the end binary 0 and 1. But when you do a program, that's very philosophical when you are doing an application. I am in it since 20 years doing programming. So when I do a program, first you have to conceptualize, to see how it will work. That's not just 0 and 1. But yeah, clear, that's binaries on some proposal, like choosing a time, choosing we do on the Saturday or we do on the Sunday. That could be just binary. But when that's proposal like Vlalendas or complex proposal, there you cannot just answer binary. So I think that's depend of the immediacy, of the speed of the brain power to have when you are deciding about a proposal. Some proposal doesn't need a lot of brain power, and that's the immediate proposal, and the other one are the complex one. And what we are debating on the Eden Fractal brainstorming session, it's not about the immediate one. Oh, yeah, we could, but that's not the place really to speak about the immediate one. That's more to speak about the complex one. And to finish, to promote us between us, yeah, we have the fantastic Pomelo collection mind map that will be swarmed with I have a campaign to pay for that, and if you send your link to the mind map for sure of your collections, that's another layer or let's say another tool in complement of Pomelo.io. Because Pomelo.io, I don't know for you, but I think the website of Pomelo.io, it's a beautiful website, but sometimes it's not so immediate to find the things. So if you have also a good mind map, very well crafted, left brain, right brain on the mind map, good visualization, that could be very powerful. And the people love the things that are visualized more than to anything else. So I think that will give a good awareness for us, and that will be posted on Bywire, by the way. And yeah, just to remind the people here. Yeah.
Great points. Thank you, Patrick.
I don't do that for myself. I do that for the, I don't do mindweb.io on Pomelo season 4 for myself. I do that to show that I am helping others also, and other Pomelo grants, and do collaboration. It's all about collaboration.
Okay, great. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, so looking forward to collaborating with the brainstorming sessions and Nova Crypto and all these things. I'll pass it on to Marco and Elias briefly, but first I'll just wrap up what I was saying with Eric too. So I'm happy that Eric brought this up, and I think it's a really interesting thing to discuss. We'll also discuss it more when Eric is back in future weeks, but I think there are ways that, like, we can start out simple with very simple decisions, but over time we can greatly scale up our ability to make more complex decisions and potentially use different user interfaces and all sorts of cool technologies and cool sorts of ways of cooperating. So that's really helpful to explore, and I'll explore that later. And then one other thing that I had written down was some responses to Tadas. Tadas is also gone, and it's also kind of just generally more about the Vlalendas and agendas. But I'll hold that off, and I'll pass it on to Marco and Elias. And then if it's cool with you guys, maybe we can wrap it up soon, because we've been gone for a while. So I'll pass it on, and then once everybody's done speaking already, then I'll just wrap it up with the last thought about Vlalendas, which I think might be a helpful note to end, just to see if anybody has suggestions or anything like that. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Marco now.
Yeah, no, I'm just responding to someone mentioning projects. Heard my project mentioned, and yeah, no, if we're looking to network, I'm definitely in. We know I can help out. You know, my information is there. You know, it goes back years, and you know, I'm working to deliver even the newest people that enter EOS, hundreds, thousands of hours in minutes and seconds. More money means better presentation and visuals. But right now, anyone coming to EOS can look on the October month, get it in seconds. It took me hundreds of hours to put together. Click on a link that gives a summary. That summary has further links to go to the GitHubs, the blockchain transactions, the ENF blogs, whoever else's blogs. Ultimately, what we're looking at here is a few people still gravitating toward the information. And the way I'm setting things up and the way I'm looking to get things is to put into the control of the new projects coming out. That means if someone has an update, haven't been here for a few months, maybe they want to get involved in Eden. Maybe they see somebody else with a tool that they like or that they needed, and they can send a little tweet or a little header, and it can run right alongside the email.
Yeah, a project mind map.
Let me finish.
That's cool.
Rather than we talked about it, Patrick. I talk about marketing. If you want to get into the marketing discussion, we can. We need it. They killed marketing. It's not an answer anymore. The idea of getting someone who hasn't been around EOS up to speed in the mainstream discussion, not in a matter of hours or a couple of days, but instantly when they have it, is a big advantage. And we can do that in blockchain because we are decentralized. And it's that thought process. Because we don't need to read the same news. We don't need to talk about the same stuff over and over again. When a new project is getting excited, they don't need to wait. couple of days. They don't need to put in the effort to reach our minds because they're trying to build. So anyway, I was just responding to someone mentioning my project, but I wanted to close this out while and if you really want to get into the discussion of Luckily, the Associated Press, and why it no longer exists, and why I said I value your mind work, but how big of a project it wasn't one person's project. It was all the mediums throughout the United States going online, and that's dead. So I understand that, man.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
Yeah, so excited to collaborate there more. I saw Elias, you had your hand up before too. Is there anything else you wanted to say, or?
I want to say.
You was just about you mentioned the collection.
I want to say
it might be just better to have a collection that's only focused on projects that benefit Eden Fractal. Don't include my project in that list. I mean, mine is not specifically for Eden.
It's okay to donate to other Pomelo grants. That's not prohibited. That's prohibited if you are doing sponsoring. But if you are giving some EOS to another grant, and at the same time you are collaborating with them, that's like a collaboration. That's good. I was in fear to be rejected of Pomelo because I have given some of my Pomelo funds to Eden Fractal, to, by the way, to Jesse Jaffe, to EOS support, etc. I was inducted in EOS support recently, but I was not able to do the first EOS support election that was on the 22nd, yesterday, correct, Marco? That was yesterday?
Yeah.
The EOS respect election, that was yesterday. Okay.
By the way, I have a section dedicated for Eden, so just let me know how this fits in. One way or the other, it's getting
in briefing. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's whatever.
I enjoy also to read sometimes about Nova Crypto on briefings.
No, you're a pillar of the community. I can't.
I don't see these last weeks, but maybe that will come. I don't know.
I haven't been able to talk to what's his face. He said someone died. Busy and stuff like that.
But you're right. I don't do anything this last week, so that's okay. That's
yeah,
not
it's sitting in his inbox. The last one is sitting in the inbox.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him. I don't even know if he's alive.
I read. Maybe I have some problem with my internet. That's possible. That is disappearing me the links. Or today into this Zoom, I was messaging sometimes, and Tadas said me, no, you don't have received my message. Zoom is not sending the message of someone speaking with me. Strange. I think the government is after us.
Thanks so much for joining, Elias. Hope you had a great time and hope you have a great day. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elias. Or L. Okay.
Okay, cool. Guys, I think we should wrap it up. Thanks also, Marco, for all the great work with Pomelo too, in addition to crypto briefings. And I would just like to just share a couple last thoughts too. I want to say, for you guys here and then everybody who's listening to the recording, thanks everyone so much for all the great work in general, and then also specifically with the agendas processes too. It was really cool going back and reviewing all of these and curating and thinking about all the effort and thought that everyone put into it. So really appreciate it. And I think it's a really cool example of how the Eden community, Eden Fractal, is collaborating. And I think it's going to be really helpful for us. So I just want to say thank you so much for the proposals and feedback and ideas with agendas and everybody's participation in Eden events in general. Thank you, Patrick, for all the great work that you're doing with the brainstorming sessions. That was incredibly helpful for what I've been doing with the past couple of days, incredibly helpful in general. And then I also just want to just leave on, some questions too. So one, I think Tadas and Eric brought up some great points about how we could improve it in the future. The quote that I mentioned to Tadas before was, "A democracy is a system whereby all people share power equally." There's an article that Dan Lamb wrote on fractal.com/blog/what is fractal democracy that explains more, and Gabriel shared a great tweet about that. So that's something to ruminate about what Tadas was talking about. And then, yeah, I'd be curious for over this week and next week's meeting, I'd be very curious to hear feedback about the Vlalendas proposal, if anybody has any different ideas, if they think it's good to propose now or anything should be changed, when we should get that feature that Tadas and I were suggesting about Eden plus fractal delegates having voting, and any other suggestions or concerns or questions, please feel free to reach out in the Eden Telegram and Discord groups, and then also during the Eden Town Hall on Sundays at 16 UTC. Also, Eric is hosting the Fractally sessions on Saturdays at 15:30 UTC, and we have the Eden Fractal brainstorming session, next one coming up on the 29th, next Tuesday at 16 UTC. So please share your thoughts about agendas and join these meetings and let us know what you think. And thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it and looking forward to the next meeting. Super excited for future of what we're doing here with Eden. Thank you, Marco, and thank you, Patrick, for being here the whole time too, or this long. Thanks, Patrick, for joining. And now it's just me and you. So do you have any final thoughts, Patrick?
I just want to say here, now that we are the both here, thank you very much, Dan, for all what you are doing since the beginning with the Eden Fractal meetings, also with the hot sauce that you were hosting. That was a fantastic speed and very straight to the point. That was nice. And then we moved on, and now we have the Eden Fractal brainstorming session. Very happy to do that with you. That makes sense. You are at the base of a lot of proposals, and we have to cover that very well. That's what I am motivated to join the Eden Fractal brainstorming session. And also there's a Eden Fractal meeting like today. I was not able to join in time, but it's okay. I was joining, and I have something to release now. It's the 14 episode with U5 workshop 14 in a couple of minutes, just after this this talk, this Eden Fractal meeting. That's the U5 workshop number 14 with Maurice Vanegas. I will publish that in a couple now. And I hope you will enjoy the 14 episode. That's all about Web3. That's all about Uganda, Nigeria. What they are doing there is just amazing. They are working with EOS every day. However, the price of EOS is not at a good level, but it's all backed by USD dollar at 0 interest, and they are creating work between them. They let's circulate more EOS between them. All that thanks to Maurice Vanegas with the U5 movement that he has created. I am in it since October last year. That's my anniversary first season with Maurice. And the last workshop is for the 23rd December, imagine, 23rd December. And before that, we have the Antilopsis workshop number. I don't remember the numbers, but that's the last of the season 3, my 3rd season, on December 9. And I will have Dance Enjoy here, Tadas Veitukunas. We will do an Eden Fractal update number 3. Eden Fractal update number 3. That will be a yeah baby experience. I am very okay with that. I use the yeah baby now in every workshop. The Antilopsis workshop is a yeah baby. The Eden Fractal brainstorming session is a yeah baby. The Eden React app now, Eden Fractal React app by Vlad. Shout out to you, man. Vlad, thank you very much. He has made the change. Okay, I gave him some EOS for sure, but he did the change, and he did the change. And I was watching the last episode of last week. I was like launching when I was seeing that that you stated yeah baby, yeah. Jorge tried. That was not the best one, but
that was good at the end, though. Yeah,
that was good. Yeah, I can say. So I propose to wrap it up here, and we can say in chorus all the yeah baby that we want. But I will say at 3, 2, 1, 0 first, we have to say go Eden Fractal. That's the platform between Eden on EOS and other circle around EOS, and we are improving. And some can say, oh, there is not too much evolution there. Maybe too much speaking, maybe too much writing, but okay, we can debate on that, but I would say that's good to have the things written, because we can come after and see what was written. And we have a collective memory. That's the mind map. We have the blockchain behind the EOS mainnet. So we use the tools that we have in the hands. We are not frozen with our mind. We give our opinions, tough opinions sometimes, but at least we are moving. And yeah, I would say we are lions, not sheep. So, okay, that's why we will say here in chorus, we are just two, but always the best at the end.
Yes.
No, sorry, the others are also the good one, but here we are experimented. We know how it goes. So we will say at 3210, with all our heart, soul, and mind, we will say at 3210, go Eden Fractal. Okay.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Let's make that great. So
let's do it.
3,
2, 1,
0. Go Eden Fractal.
Fractal.
You understand?
I understand. Go Eden Fractal.
Okay.
Thanks, Patrick, for all
the
the kind
second
words.
one is okay. The second one is go EOS with all our heart, soul, and mind. Okay.
And mind. Yes.
And conviction, belief. Okay. Let's go and piste. 3, 2, 1. 0. Okay, and we finish on go Antelope.
Oh, go Antelope? Okay.
Okay. Go Antelope.
Okay, go Antelope. Let's
protocol,
do it.
Instant finality.
It's good. It's great.
Okay.
All right. That'll be the last one. Okay. We're going.
Like an antelope. Okay.
That's right.
So let's do this. At 3, 2, 1, 0, we say go Antelope. Okay. 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Antelope.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed.
What?
This is fun.
Don't miss the Eden Town Hall on the Sunday at 16 UTC. We have Dancing Joy, myself, Nico, the brother of Steven Seagal. No, it's a joke. Nicolas of the EOS Beast French Eye, the best one of the best one. And shout out to him. We have Christian Chris coming in anonymous mode sometimes, but that's nice to have Chris there on the Sunday. He can only join on the weekend, so that's perfect. We have him on the Sunday. Shout out to Christian Chris, CIC. And sometimes we have Joachim of Hypha. We have had him, and you will release a video sequence soon. So Eden Town Hall on the Sunday. And today, the EOS Fireside Chat at 19 UTC. You have to go there, show what we are doing. Let's make your voice heard. That's the place to go, EOS Fireside Chat, to say to Stefan, Bisson, and all the EOS Nation team that we are doing fantastic things. So I will say here, to finish, we will say at 3210, we will say, yeah, baby.
Let's do it.
In chorus.
Okay.
It's okay. We have a lot of people that want to say, yeah, baby. It's the time to say, yeah, baby.
Yes,
you know what? Because we will maybe have not the chance to say that tomorrow. So say today, yeah, baby. That's the time. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah, baby.
All right. Thank you so much, Patrick.
See you soon, Dan. Thank you for all. And for the people watching this, it's not the time to complain. We have all what we need. Some people have an EOS a banking account into their pocket. Others use EOS as a currency. Hashtag EOS is very important because that means something. And don't miss the workshops. Don't miss all what Dancing Joy is doing. Akadogman is doing fantastic songs. He is doing fantastic article. He has a website, edencreator.com, edenfractal.com. He is writing documents. He is brainstorming a lot. So all with dog, okay? The last one is 3210. We say go Dogman.
Go Dogman. And go Nova Crypto too. 1,
0,
0.
go Dogman!
Man. And now 3, 2, 1 Nova Crypto. 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Nova Crypto! Because Patrick's also doing great work too, with all the stuff he's doing with Nova Crypto and all sorts of Eden Fractal brainstorming sessions and mind maps and everything like that. So 3, 2, 1, go Nova Crypto. Everybody, thank you. All right, this has been the longest sign up ever, I think. So we should probably
the longest never made sign up of the galaxy of all the dogs. I think.
Yes, precisely.
Let's say, right, okay.
All right, so I think we should wrap it up now.
See you, all the guys here on the next Wednesday at 16 UTC.
See you then. Go Eden Fractal. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Go. Bye.